Lynette Hernandez is suing her neighbors, Pamela Jackson and Ashley Jackson, for filing false CPS reports and defamation of character.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2176, Hernandez versus Jackson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Hernandez, you and the defendants are neighbors.
Yes.
You more recently moved into the neighborhood?
Yes, on February 25th of 2022.
And you've been living there for about a year.
Year and a half.
I have complaints and cross-complaints. Each one of you are claiming that the other is guilty of harassment. The defendant, in addition to the harassment, says that there was an assault on, that would be on you?
Me.
On you, by the plaintiff.
Yes.
And false police reports, reports to Child Welfare Administration. Each one of you is requesting serious damages as a result of this ongoing harassment and assault. And I gather from reading the papers that when you moved in, the whole bad feeling between neighbors started because of a parking space. Would that be correct?
Correct.
So your car is the white car.
Correct.
Tell me about the problem when you first moved in with the car, and go over to the chart.
Okay. So a month after I moved in, I politely asked Pamela if she
Just a
can...
second. Pamela, that would be you.
Yes.
Your last name is Jackson.
Yes.
Okay. So you asked Miss Jackson, whose car is the car parked in front of yours?
Yes, this one.
Okay. So you said to Miss Jackson, go ahead.
I told her if she could please scoot up. We were both pulling in at the same time. We were coming back at the same time, so I thought I could politely ask her if she could just scoot up.
I don't know what that means, and perhaps other people do, but I don't. You asked her to move her car.
Yes, just a little bit forward because on the handicap, the yellow line ends right there.
No, see, look at me. You asked her to, I see a handicap sign. Mm-hmm. So you asked her to move up.
Yes.
Why?
Because she parks so further back, and when the neighbors park back there, I have to like parallel park, and sometimes I'm in a rush, so I just, want to just get out to go to work or to drop the kids off to school.
So you prefer you don't like to parallel park?
I do, but sometimes it's too, I just wanted to politely ask her if she could just scoot up a little bit, because she has a bunch of space in the front. Well, so I just thought I could...
I don't see a whole bunch of space. What is handicap? Where is that handicap spot?
Right here in front of her house.
Right there? Mm-hmm. You have a handicap sign?
When I moved in, I was told I could park there
just
because that's the old one. No, I do not.
You do not. So you shouldn't be parking there anyway.
I was told I could because that was the old sign. That's why they dismissed the ticket that she called to get when I didn't move my car.
Just a second. You can't tell me what somebody else said to you. There's a handicap sign.
That was from the police department in Marshall.
What, did you have something from the police department indicating that you can park in a handicap spot?
No, they removed it the next day and dismissed it because of that.
Just a second. Is the sign still there?
No, they removed it immediately.
Okay, fine.
Because
so
of
the sign was removed?
Yes.
And what is that alleyway where the trash can is?
That's the driveway for the next door neighbor's
house.
Mm-hmm.
Just a second. So that what she's doing in parking her car there is permitting the trash cans, which are supposed to be out into the street, right? Point to the trash can.
Yes, right here.
So the trash can is supposed to be out in the street. In order to get back to the house, somebody who lives in that back house has to pull all the way around the trash can and her car if she moves her car up.
Your Honor.
It makes it that much more difficult for the person who lives behind.
I understand. For trash day is understandable.
I don't care. She doesn't. You have to understand, Ms. Hernandez, that she didn't have to accommodate you so that you don't have to parallel park. Mm-hmm.
I just thought I could ask her politely, and I didn't think it was going to be
okay. So let's go back a second. Mm-hmm. Now you can go back. So that's what started the trouble. You said politely. Tell me exactly what you said to her. Tell me exactly what you said to her, and you said that happened in March. Go ahead.
I asked her, I said, excuse me, can you please scoot up a little bit so that I can parallel park? There was no trash
that day. Just a second. I don't care. Trash, no trash.
That's how I
She doesn't have to figure Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I have to scoot up my car because she doesn't like to parallel park. Do you understand? trash day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Recycling Tuesday and Thursday, but not every week, every other week. So I have to remember to scoot up so that my young neighbor doesn't have to parallel park. It's ridiculous. Okay. It's ridiculous. Is that the way she asked you?
No.
What did she say?
The way she told me was, ma'am, I would appreciate if you would just move around and park in the back. Now, the alleyway, it's illegal to
No, just
park.
a second. She said, let's go slowly.
So
ma'am.
she said, ma'am, I would appreciate if you would please move around to the back alleyway. I need parking for all my friends and family.
No, true. Your Honor, that's not true.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Sarah, I don't know what this is.
You don't have to keep hitting it. That's the whole video.
Thank you. If I hit it, maybe I hit it on the table.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well-
That only works with your phone.
It only works on my
Yeah.
phone? Fresh math.
Lynette Hernandez claims her neighbor, Pamela Jackson, filed false CPS reports and defamed her. Pamela is countersuing for an assault.
Okay, she asked you to move, and you said to her, your response to her was, it's a public street, I'll park where I want to park.
I tried to explain to her I have arthritis, so if you'll see, I park where I can walk around my car and go up the walkway.
I don't care, you don't have to justify it to me, I asked you the question. You responded what? What did you...
The way I responded was for...
Think. If you don't remember, say I don't remember.
I
Don't
remember.
make it up.
I remember because I've stated this the whole time. Every time, even the police have sat there and asked why I parked there because she's called the police over this multiple times. I have even explained to them I park the way I do.
No, I want you to tell me.
I told her, I says, I'm older, I have arthritis, I park where I do to be able to use my walkway. Her response was, you'll have a better access to your walkway if you pull up. I said, no, the person on my passenger side would, then I have to go up in the grass.
No.
I need the walkway for stability because I've already had one fall.
Okay, whatever. You told her I can't accommodate you.
Yes.
Your Honor, that's not true because it didn't take that long. She got in her car, and she actually got in, and she scooted up.
And she moved up a little bit.
She moved up a little bit because the trash can wasn't there.
Okay, so you asked her, ma'am, could you move up a little bit? And so what you're telling me is she accommodated you.
She did.
And she didn't say anything to you.
So I thought it was okay.
And then what happened?
And then whenever I was parking, I got off and I told her, I was like, thank you. And then that's when she got upset.
No. In March, what you're saying is you asked her to scoot up, and she did.
And she did.
When was the next date that something happened with the car?
April 6th, she called the cops for the first time because she parked, that's how she parked. She parked very close to my car, as you can see on the picture. She started parking close to me like that. She called the cops for the first time.
Just a second. That photograph was taken April 6th?
Yes, ma'am.
Of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you were parked right in front of your house?
Yes, ma'am.
First. And she parked in front of you?
Correct.
And you're telling me that she called the police?
Correct.
Is that correct?
No.
Okay. Show me that she called the police on April 6th.
She did?
She called the police and then she was telling them that...
No. Can't tell me what she was telling them. I want to see where she called the police on April 6th. She said she didn't. Is that what you just said to me?
I called the police. I'm not the one that parked. I was already parked there. When she pulled up on me, I called the police because she tapped my back end before she pulled back.
Incorrect.
Okay. So you were parked there already?
I was already there, and it's an ongoing issue for months. She would pull up on me and sometimes tap my bumper.
And you were in the car?
I wasn't in the car. I was inside.
So you just saw her parked very close to you?
I saw her tap my bumper.
Okay. And that's when you called the police?
Yes.
Okay.
And she knew because she was recording me calling them.
Do you have that?
It's even on her TikTok.
I'd like to see.
I do because she was lying to them and said that I hit her car, and I did not hit her car.
Which shows she was the one pulling in.
Well, but the scenario that she's telling Ms. Hernandez, that she's telling me, is different from what you told me. So let's get it clear. Was her car parked there first or yours?
Mine was parked there first.
And she says hers was parked there first. That means that she would have to back into that spot, whatever it was.
And she did.
Just a second. That's what you want me. She backed into that spot and backed in very close to your car.
Yes.
I don't believe that.
This is...
I don't believe that. That doesn't...
Okay.
I don't believe that. You're going to have to prove that to me because that would be silly. I see what you're showing me. What you're showing me is consistent with the cars being very close together, but you want me to believe that she actually backed into that spot.
She did.
Oh, it's a video?
Your Honor, she did park like that day.
Yeah. I hope this video will show me that. I don't know what this, Sarah.
Yeah.
Am I getting the whole?
Yeah, you don't have to keep hitting it. That's the whole video. That's it.
Could we do it again?
Yeah.
Thank you. If I hit it, maybe I hit it on the table.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well-
That only works with your phone.
It only works on my
Yeah.
phone? Fresh math. Yeah, all right, this is useless. Okay, so the police came out, and was there a police report?
I have it right here.
May I have it, please? Who else lives in the house with you, Miss Hernandez?
Me and my 2 children.
Oh, well, that was nasty over a parking space. How unfortunate.
I'd like to see that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Oh, yes. The officer actually didn't believe her because there was nothing on her car.
Doesn't have to be anything on her car.
But she's
you tap
making-
you tap somebody's bumper, there isn't always damage. That's close enough for me. Okay, give me the paper back.
The officer did not believe her because she lied. She made false accusations, saying that I was threatening her with a knife and with a baby in my arm. Officer didn't believe her because.
Don't tell me what the officer believed or what the officer didn't believe, madam. It's irrelevant what you think the officer believed. If the officer was here, I would question the officer. Okay, it all started over a parking space. And you have to understand, I'm not sympathetic with you. You move into a neighborhood, something is established in the neighborhood, because I'm sure she didn't wait to park in that spot just when you moved in. That's where she's been parking her car. It's not that you don't have a place to park. You have a place to park in front of your house. Mm-hmm. That's the defendant's house. Her car is parked right in front of her house. Mm-hmm. You have a place to park. Your car is parked right in front of your house. You want her to move to make it easier for you so that you don't have to struggle to park, so you could just scoot in and scoot out.
I just didn't want to risk hitting her car for being in a rush because the people behind me would park pretty close up.
Who cares? It's a public street. I don't care if you park on Mars. Mm-hmm. Then park someplace else on the street. It would bother me if that was my driveway and there was a car that was right up to the edge of that driveway, causing me to have to swing out wide every time I pulled into my driveway. And I couldn't do it during trash days because it's even a wider turn. Also that you didn't have to parallel park. I'm telling you, I'm not sympathetic with that. You're not entitled to a public street parking spot. That's sort of an entitlement that what generation?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. This is going to cause the demise of this country.
Lynette Hernandez has accused her neighbor, Pamela Jackson, of defaming her on social media. Pamela claims Lynette assaulted her with a trash can.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 27.
You're 27. Well, that makes sense. Is that called
Your Honor.
Gen X? Is that a Gen X? What is that?
I think it's a Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Yeah.
Gen Z, yes.
Your Honor,
There's a whole bunch of entitlements with Gen Z people.
Your Honor, I don't think it's.
Just a second.
Your Honor, I don't think it's fair that she has called CPS on
Just
me.
a second. We're not talking about fair. Right now, we're talking about parking.
Well-
right now, we're talking about what precipitated this bad feeling. And I agree with you. We'll get to the rest of the harassment, but what I'm telling you is you're off base here. You're not entitled to a public street parking spot that may or may not inconvenience somebody else. You have a spot in front of your house. But if the reason you told her to move her car and the people behind is because you don't like to parallel park, that is
do.
sort
I
of an
didn't want to hit
entitlement. I'm
anybody.
just telling you, Miss Hernandez, that's sort of an entitlement that what generation?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. This is going to cause the demise of this country. There is no entitlement to park right in front of your house, comfortably. There's no entitlement to that. You wanted that, you should have bought a house that had a garage. If that started the problem, I'm telling you that you were wrong.
She has the garage.
That doesn't give her license to do bad things. Now, she can call the police if she thinks that you touched her car, which you probably did. You didn't damage it, but you probably touched it because you were annoyed, because that's a constant source of irritation. So I'm not concerned about calling the police. Understand this. I'm concerned about calling CPS, because that's one of the issues here. And Miss Jackson, I believe, in her answer, said she did, in fact, call Child Protective Services.
And I've
Just a
actually got
second.
evidence.
Just
Why?
a second. You called Child Protective Services when?
I made a call in August. Was it August or September?
If you don't remember, you don't remember. You made a call to
Your
Child
Honor.
Protective Services
Twice.
based on 2 times.
Twice. Well, there was the most recent one, so it's 3. So the first
Just
one,
a second. So you called Child Protective Services 3 times.
all 3 times, and I've got video evidence to why.
Okay, I'd like to see the video evidence.
Actually, pull that up.
Great.
One of them has to do with the fact she was inside, and I'd been outside changing batteries. I went to verify my cameras, picked up the audio. She had been yelling at her daughter, threatening to beat her up.
Okay, just a second. The first time you called Child Protective Services was in August or September of 2022.
Correct.
That's what you said. Why did you call Child Protective Services the first time?
The first time was I saw her kind of shove her daughter backwards.
You have that on tape?
Did you find the tape on that one?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Your Honor, they did not call CPS in August.
Just a second. She says she did. August or September.
Well, she's trying to claim earlier that I called in February, but that wasn't me. She had another situation going on. She even told the cop if it hadn't been for her telling me not to move my car, she wouldn't believe I was the one that called.
Okay.
Because she called the police on that.
I don't see anything sufficient for you to call CPS the first time on that. That was a motion with a hand. Child didn't fall.
There had been a bunch of yelling out before that.
I don't care. That's an overkill. What's next? When's the next time you
The
called?
next time I called, and she's got the video, she can pull up for you. She was inside. I was changing my battery. She yelled at her daughter to
Where
get
was her
down.
daughter?
They were inside.
So you heard her yelling at her
Heard her
daughter?
yelling at her daughter to get down, or next time she does it, she's going to beat her up. And then we heard break your neck.
Okay. And you videoed that?
Yes, we even showed that to the police.
Okay.
Your Honor,
I'd
that
like to
wasn't
see
me.
it. Looking at it, so far you. You hear anything?
She says,
Your
I'm
Honor,
gonna
that's
beat you
not
up,
me.
and if you don't listen, I'm going to break your neck.
Okay. How old is your daughter?
That's not
Shh.
me. My
Who is
daughter's
it?
7.
Whose voice is it coming from your house?
It's not me. It's the
Whose
neighbor that was on the corner.
Who's- What?
That's not me. My daughter's name or my son's name is Cam. She said, Cam,
No, she didn't.
you could listen to it again and it's going to say Cam. That's not me. That was the person
On that
that's in
side,
the.
nobody
You want me
has
to just
any
listen
kids.
to
Yeah.
it?
Yes, they do.
And then she says, hey, get off the couch right now. I'm going to beat you up. Stop playing. Okay. I'm going to break it. Oh, she says, you're going to break your neck.
You're going to break
You're
your neck.
going to break your neck.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not me.
Second time. Just a second. Second time. Would I, based on that, she didn't say, I'm going to break your neck. She said, you're going to break your neck.
After she threatened to beat the child up, I'm actually a victim of child abuse.
I'm sympathetic with that, and I'm sensitive to that. I still think that that's a little bit of overkill, Miss Jackson. Let's go further.
To be continued. His former landlords, Diana and Donald Back, for an illegal eviction, security deposit, and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2085, Schumann versus Back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Schumann,
Yes, Your Honor.
I assume this is your wife?
My girlfriend
Girlfriend.
and my son, Blake.
And your girlfriend is here just for moral support. She wasn't living with you in the house.
She wasn't living with me, no, but she was
Sit down.
I was a witness.
Sit.
a part of it.
Sit down.
Big part of it.
She was not living at the house.
No.
Good. Just you and your son.
Yes.
And you were tenants of Mr. and Mrs. Back for how long?
I think it was 6 years.
Starting when?
When did I sign the lease?
August 2016.
Don't help him.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, 8/1/16.
And which unit do you rent? Because they also live in the house.
Yeah, it's 3 floors. I have the middle, and the top is just a little loft. Comes with a little loft.
And did you move in there with your son?
No, in the beginning, no. He wasn't with me. It
Was it just you?
was just me.
And when did he move in?
Probably 2 years later.
2018.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 15?
Now, in 2016, everything going well with your landlord?
Yeah.
Same landlord.
Yes.
What about 2017?
Everything's good.
Everything's going fine. 18 must have been going fine because you brought your son in to live with you.
We did have a few incidences that I had to call the police then.
Okay, so in 2018, you had to call the police.
Yes.
When in 2018?
First time Mrs. Back came, and she had a problem with Blake. She said he walked too hard upstairs
Okay. Now, before Blake came with you, with whom was he living?
with his mother
How long was he living with his mother?
since he,
Since he was born?
yeah, since birth.
And did you visit with him before he came to live with you?
Yeah, I had him every other weekend and Tuesdays and Thursdays.
So something must have happened in 2018 because he's 15 years old, he's in high school. You want to tell me the reason? Angela, I want you to bear in mind, this is my business.
Yeah.
You want to tell me why your son came to live with you? And if you just want to say to me he and his mother weren't getting along, I will accept that.
No, that's not why. She wanted to move to Florida, and she said I could have Blake.
Interesting. Okay, so the first time you started to have trouble was when your son came and Mrs. Back said that he was walking too loud, making too much noise upstairs.
Yeah.
And how did she communicate that with you?
Well, Mr. Back was really the one who had the problem at night. Because Blake would go from his bedroom to the bathroom, and he walked too loud. That was it.
So what did you do?
Well, that was that.
I want to know why you called the police.
Well, why he called the police was because finally, this was the following year when she...
Just a second. So that was it. In 2018, they told you that your son was walking too heavy.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, going from his room to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay, but that didn't require a call to the police. So I'm waiting.
Well,
This is not a well.
decided
You
to
call the police.
confront
I want to
me.
tell you something. I've been a tenant for most of my life. I've never called the police on a landlord. So this is not an answer that starts with well. When was the first time you called the police regarding Mr. and Mrs. Back, and for what reason?
she illegally entered my apartment. She used her key to come into my house.
Okay, don't speak. I told you not to speak.
Okay, I'm sorry.
When did she use a key to come into your apartment?
What time of the day?
No,
It was during
month?
the day, and
Month?
I don't remember. I mean, I have the police report.
Oh, I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
Well, that will tell me.
The door was open, Your Honor. Sorry.
What part don't you understand? You want me to just grant his application and say goodbye to you?
I'm sorry. Sorry.
I know I had it. No, I have it, but I...
You have it, but you don't have it.
Well,
Okay, so that was sometime, according to you, in 2018/19, she entered your apartment without your permission using a key.
Yes.
And as a result of that, what happened?
Well, the officer
It's
came...
not a well.
Yep, the officer
So
came.
she came in and you found out that she'd been in your apartment. How did you...
Yeah, I was
how
upstairs. I was in the apartment, and she came in.
Oh, she used her key
Yeah.
and came in and you were there.
Yes.
Tell me about that incident. So she came in...
She confronted Blake, then I went upstairs.
Just a second. She confronted Blake and you went upstairs. Upstairs from where?
From downstairs. We were,
So
we
you
were
wa-
coming, we were coming home. She came running down the block, saw that we were home, and started telling Blake that he walks too loud. You're walking too loud. You're walking too loud.
Just a second. She's in the street.
She was coming. She saw us, and she's coming
You
back.
said you were outside. You were outside. First you told me, if I'm not mistaken, Whitney, he said he was in the apartment when she came in. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. First, you told me you were in the apartment. That's not accurate. This happened outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it happened outside, and she was yelling at your son that he was walking too loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, not yeah, yes.
Yes.
Okay. And now she's outside, coming from the beach. She's telling him, you're coming inside, keep going.
Then we went inside. I said, okay.
Just a second.
I said, okay, I'll tell him to walk a little softer, levitate a little bit. And we went inside, and I got onto the phone talking to somebody. I guess she heard me talking, and she opened her key and came up the stairs and started yelling. I wasn't yelling at Blake. I wasn't doing this to Blake. I wasn't doing that to Blake.
All right, next. 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 I'll tell you what this case is about so that everybody understands what this case is about. You're claiming that they illegally evicted you. That's one thing. You claim that they have your security deposit. And what else do you want? You say that there was a simple assault because when yelling at you, one of them spit on you.
It was a lot more than yelling.
I don't care what's yelling. Nobody hit you. That's either a yes or a no.
No.
You panicked.
Yes.
Because somebody was looking for your father and you knew it was the landlord.
No, I didn't. I thought someone was trying to break in.
Blake, let's get real, okay? Let's stop with the scripted scenario that your father is giving you. Because if don't speak.
Daniel Schumann claims his former landlords, Diana and Donald Back, owe for an illegal eviction, security deposit, and an assault. Diana and Donald are countersuing for apartment damage.
Now, illegal eviction, return of security deposit. And you lived there until when?
Until June of this year.
Now, in June, something happened, and that's where your girlfriend has some information, because it was June
3rd.
You are Gina.
Yes.
Perfect. You and Gina were in bed asleep. Does Gina have her own car?
Yes.
Do you have a car?
Yes.
So that's 2 cars.
Yes.
Where are you supposed to park?
Well, we don't have a driveway, so you can park on the street if you want.
Okay, so you weren't parked anywhere near the house,
No, across the street.
correct?
Yes.
So his cars weren't blocking yours.
Yes, they were.
Where was your car parked?
My car was parked out front behind his disabled spot that he has for himself, and only him. I was
Just a second.
parked behind him.
There's a disabled parking spot on a public street?
Yes, but it's only his, for his number only. So no one else could park there, or they get ticketed and towed.
Even if you're disabled.
Shh.
Yeah, even if you're disabled, you're not allowed.
Did you get a spot assigned to you, sir, assigned to your car because of a disability?
Yes.
What's the nature of the disability?
I had 2 cracked vertebrae in my neck. I dislocated my left shoulder. I have herniated and ruptured discs in my lower back and nerve damage down my left leg.
So you have a place to park.
Yes.
Were you or your girlfriend Gina in any way blocking Mr. and Mrs. Back's car?
No.
Okay. Did you see where they were parked?
Yeah, she was parked on the street in front of the house.
Their car was parked in the street in front of the house?
Yes.
Okay. Go. June 3rd. Where was your car?
So my car was parked behind his disabled spot. My husband came in and showed me a ticket that was on my car, and I couldn't understand it because there's no meters or anything. And when I went to look at the ticket, it took me a little time. I checked it. It was for unregistered vehicle. First time in my life I've ever done something like that. I went online right away because I said, I know I did this in April in my mind because I do everything online. Obviously, I never sent it through, and I didn't realize it. Cops in the town have a scanner. They scanned my card. They gave me a ticket. I'm responsible for that. I understand that. But when I spoke to the cop, he said...
No, don't tell me what the cop said.
Well, I can get a ticket every 12 hours. So I panicked. I said, okay, I'm going to try...
Now I understand what's happened.
But I needed to get my car
Just a
off the
second.
road.
So now I understand what happened. She got a ticket parking on the street. And the ticket for parking on the street was for having an unregistered vehicle.
Yes.
Your car was not parked in your designated handicapped spot. Instead, you and Gina were parked in the street.
Yes.
So she came to you to ask you to take your car and put it in your handicapped spot so that she could park in the driveway.
No.
Well,
we just asked for, just needed one of them. Can you see,
Just a
look
sec.
at this picture?
Just a sec.
And then you'll understand what I mean.
You asked one of them to move their car?
I tried to just get in touch with both of them at this point, just get their attention.
You said Miss Back no to me very fast. I want you to listen
No,
to what I
didn't ask him
said.
to go in. There's six parking spots on this lot. So I didn't need him to go in his spot, is what I'm trying to say.
It doesn't matter.
I just needed him
You need to
get
move.
through. He could have stayed there the whole night if he wanted to.
Okay. And what time was this?
My husband walked in about 20 to 9. I started to look it up, thinking that something was wrong. By the time I figured that out, then I knocked on the door.
Just a second.
No
Give me a
answer.
time that you went to his door to knock at the door.
I started knocking on the door about 9 o'clock, a little bit after, maybe 9 o'clock. And then I proceeded to text, and I proceeded to call.
Okay. Now, prior to that, Mr. Schumann, prior to that date, at about 9 o'clock, when was the time immediately prior that you called the police about the behavior or a complaint about Mr. and Mrs.
That was
Back?
after. Okay.
What don't you understand?
When I called the police, it was probably about 9:45.
No, prior to that night, when she wanted you to move your car, when was the time immediately preceding that you called the police about any conduct of Mr. and Mrs. Back?
Yeah, I don't remember the date.
Give me the month and year.
Oh, wow. It was
So far, we have
maybe
2018.
maybe 2020.
So that was the second time that you've called the police?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You keep saying that. 2020. What was that about?
What that was about was she was downstairs with her friends. They were smoking so much marijuana that we couldn't breathe on the second and third floor. And Mrs. Zanino called her and said, "You guys got to knock it off. You got to stop. We can't breathe up here." Had to open the windows, had to turn on fans, and I had Blake there.
May I see the police report?
That one I don't have. They wouldn't give it to me. They said because
Just a second. That they said you don't have that police report, but that you called because of smoking marijuana.
Yes.
Okay. And that was the time immediately preceding the call at 9:45 in June of 2022.
Yes.
There were no calls in between.
No.
Is that correct?
One after, but not before.
One after.
2 days later.
2 days after,
After the altercation. Yeah.
After the altercation. Okay. So now, according to you, you and Gina are in bed, sound asleep at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Where is your son?
He's downstairs on the second floor. That's where his bedroom is.
Okay. But downstairs, when you want to get in, do you get in from the second floor or the third?
Come in the house, you got to come in from the first floor. And then
Walk up a flight of
Yeah.
stairs. So you have
Yeah.
to pass where your son is. Your son is on the second floor.
Oh, yeah. If I'm going up to the loft, the bedroom door is right there. Yeah.
Okay. What's your son's first name?
Blake.
Blake, stand up. Move over next to your father. You're 15 years old?
Yes.
15-year-olds don't go to sleep at 9 o'clock at night. June 3rd, 2022. Where were you?
I was in the bathroom.
You were in the bathroom?
Yes.
All night?
No, not all night.
Well, when were you in the bathroom?
Around 9:30
When did you hear banging on the door?
was around that time.
It was around 9:30.
Yes.
What did you do?
Well, I didn't know what was going on.
No, you heard banging at the door.
Yes.
Did somebody say something?
Well.
Not well. Look at me. All you have to do is remember this. Don't speak, Mr. Schumann. Don't speak to him.
No, he's nervous.
Don't speak to him. He won't have to be nervous if he tells the truth. So you see, you just have to cool it. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. You have people who call the police on you all the time. You're going to get down on the ground, kiss the ground, and say, thank God for they're not in my house anymore. Do you understand?
Kind of.
He's happy. What do you mean, kind of?
Well,
what do you
I
mean,
wasn't
kind
ready for the change at the time.
Oh, you
because
sound
I need time.
ridiculous. You sound ridiculous.
Daniel Schumann has accused his former landlords, Diana and Donald Back, of wrongfully evicting him and keeping his security deposit.
You came here. You brought him. Just remember that. You came.
I know.
You brought him. What did you hear when you heard banging at the door?
I heard Don scream, Dan.
You heard Mr. Back
Yes. Mr.
scream what?
Dan and.
Dan.
Yes.
And that's your father.
Yes.
How many times did you hear him scream Dan?
Only once.
Once. And are you out of the bathroom?
Well, I did.
Oh, that's not an well.
Sorry.
Are you out of the bathroom or still in the bathroom?
I'm still in the bathroom.
Okay, so you're still in the bathroom.
Yes.
Was the door open or closed?
Closed.
Closed. So behind a closed door in the bathroom, you heard Dan from the floor below.
Yes.
Dan, now what did you hear after that? Is not an answer. What did you hear after that? Dan, now you knew somebody was looking for your father.
Oh, well, I panicked, sort of.
You panicked?
Yes.
Because somebody was looking for your father and you knew it was the landlord?
Yeah.
You knew it was the landlord?
No, I didn't.
You just told me that...
I thought someone was trying to break in.
You mean, just a second. Blake, let's get real, okay? Let's stop with the scripted scenario that your father is giving you. Because if, don't speak. Because at 9 o'clock at night, if somebody is banging at the door and calling your father's name, then it doesn't sound like a break-in to me. If somebody's banging at my door and somebody is yelling out, Nana, Nana, I know they're not trying to break into my house.
It wasn't.
Do you
banging
understand?
at the door.
Do you understand?
It was the whole house was shaking.
Okay.
The entire
okay,
house.
Mr. Schuman, I'm not speaking to you. Do you understand? You brought this ridiculous lawsuit. You brought this ridiculous
The
lawsuit.
truth has to be told. I can't tell.
Just
the
a
truth.
second.
Because they're lying.
Mr. Schuman,
No, you're lying.
You're lying.
Mr. Schuman, you brought this ridiculous lawsuit, except for one thing. I'm finished with you. Sit down.
Your Honor, I wasn't even the one who called the cops at first.
Just a second.
The neighbor across the street called first because.
Mr. Schuman, you have a police report?
Yeah.
Then I'd like to see where the neighbor across the street called the police.
Yeah, that says it in
Just
there.
a second. I'd like to see it.
He also called.
Shh.
Okay.
Yeah, when I called, they said someone else has already called.
Give this back. Give this back. They don't understand not to talk. All right. I'm about finished with you. You moved out?
Yes, I was illegally
Great.
evicted.
Great. It's a great thing that you moved
told
out.
to get
It's a
out.
great thing that you moved out because you don't want to be with such bad landlords who yell and scream in the middle of the night, who smoke marijuana around your 15-year-old son who would never think of doing that, right? Right?
Yes.
Yes, of course. And so it's a good thing that you found someplace else to go.
Well, it is a good thing.
It's a very, very
The
good
amount of
thing.
stress that's off me now.
Perfect. Then it's what we call a mitzvah that you moved out, okay? The only thing that I'm entertaining on either side is, on your side, the return of your security deposit. Do you understand?
Yes.
How much was your security deposit?
$1,750.
When you left, did you get any of your security deposit back?
No.
What date did you leave?
It was the last day of June.
So it was June 30th. And you paid June's rent.
Yes.
So now you're going to have to explain to me, Mr. and Mrs. Back, and I think I'm going to go to Mrs. Back, why you kept their security deposit.
Well, Your Honor, he signed a lease when he
Just
first moved in.
to tell me why you kept their security
Because
deposit.
he was asked to give me 60 days notice, written 60 days notice.
Forget it. There are people who call the police on you all the time. You're going to get down on the ground, kiss the ground, and say, thank God for they're not in my house anymore. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Kind of.
He's happy. What do you mean, kind of?
Well,
what do you
I
mean,
wasn't
kind
ready for the change at the time. That's why I always ask for 60 days notice.
Oh, you
Because
sound
I need time.
ridiculous. You sound ridiculous.
I'm sorry.
You sound ridiculous. Do you understand why she sounds ridiculous? You had very, very bad experience with your tenants. Police were called. I don't know. I've lived in places all my life. Police were never called on me as a tenant. I never called police on a landlord. Out there in the near audience, I want to know how many of you ever called the police about your landlord. Raise your hand. I just want some idea. Raise your hand. Don't tell me the truth. Okay, good. Now, how many ever called the police on a tenant? Look at all this. How many times?
Twice.
Great. Landlord or tenant?
On a tenant.
You called about a tenant?
Yes.
About a disruptive tenant?
Yes.
So, with the exception of Kevin, who is a businessman, entrepreneur when he's not here, taking care of my business here, and he called the police twice because of a tenant. Nobody else has ever called the police, so you should say, thank you, Lord, for getting rid of these tenants who called the police, and not give me baloney about a 60-day notice. Now, if that's why you kept their security deposit, which is what you said to me,
Right.
then he gets a security deposit back, $1,750. And that's the only reason you gave me.
It's $1,725, but
Just a
I
second.
didn't finish.
1725. You did finish. I said, what was the reason? I asked you twice.
Well,
what was the
what
reason? And
happened prior
what was the
to this,
reason?
I was letting him go from the 17th when he texted my husband to the 17th. The only thing I wanted in return is access. He said, no, see it in court. So I turned around and held him to his lease.
Very good. Not here.
Why?
Not here.
Okay.
$1,750. He gets a security deposit back. $1,750 or $1,725?
It's $1,750.
Take a look. Let's get the number right.
The lease.
This is fascinating.
He signed his lease that says $1,725.
Okay. You have information to the contrary, Mr. Schuman.
No, she's right. $1,725.
$1,725. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Counterclaim is dismissed. We're finished. That's it.
Court is adjourned.
Judge Judy was right about I should be counting my blessings that they're gone.
It was over a silly parking spot.
I'm
Yeah, we're
glad
glad.
he's out, but I don't think he deserves his security.
I mean, I couldn't teach him how to levitate.
Yeah.
I tried, as much as I tried, we couldn't get it.
I'll never understand why acrimonious relationships between landlords and tenants would wish to continue on for another 30 days, another 60 days, cut your losses and get out of there. And that's what happened. And the defendant's answer that, well, he was supposed to give me 60 days notice. Why would you want him there for another 60 days?
It's called the police on you, as far as we know, at least 3 times.
Yes.
Whatever. It was just a bad scene. And for some reason, he didn't park at his assigned spot because of his handicap. He parked, whatever.
I think everyone should just cut their losses and go
move
home.
on and be happy. Life is so short.
Sister, Kelvis Bentley, for moving costs.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2106, Bentley versus Bentley.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Miss Bentley, this is your sister.
Yes.
The case is relatively simple. Your mom passed away a couple of years ago. There was a house full of furniture that belonged to your mother. According to what I've read, and this is broad strokes, according to what I read, your sister, what's your first name?
Kelvis.
Put your mother's property in a storage unit.
Excuse me. It was already in storage.
Who had put it into storage?
My mom put it in storage. My mom was terminally ill, and she put it in storage 3 months before she passed away.
Is that correct?
Yes.
On what date did your mom pass?
November the 8th, 2018.
So it would have been in storage since August of 2018.
Correct.
From August till November, who paid for the storage unit?
I have been paying it.
And how much is it every month?
Right now it's $209, but it was $182 in the beginning.
But about $200 a month, and it's been 3 years.
Yes, I've been paying that every month.
This is what your case is about. You say that you gave your sister $900 for the purpose of traveling, getting your mother's things out of storage so that you could all disperse your mother's property.
Yes, but the amount is incorrect.
What's the amount?
I gave her $800.
Okay, $800.
Yes.
In order to get your mother's furniture to where you live, so that you could separate the furniture and the family could take what they wanted or needed of the property, correct?
That's correct.
Good. Then COVID struck. Your sister didn't use that money to travel, to hire truckers, to move the furniture, and you want that money back.
Yes, that's correct.
That's the whole case. Okay. Just for my own information, you do expect when that furniture arrives to be one of the beneficiaries of that furniture. That's what your sister says. She says that that's the plan once it all comes back.
That's not correct. I didn't want anything out of the storage but pictures.
Pictures?
Yeah.
Well, pictures of things.
Yes, that's it.
Pictures of what?
There's a picture of me and my mother. That's all I wanted.
Did you tell that to your sister?
Yes, I did.
Did she?
No.
How many sisters are there?
It's only 2 of us now. It was 4, 2 deceased.
Did your mother have any other property?
My mother has a whole 2-bedroom home in the storage. She has furniture, everything.
Other than furniture?
No. Clothes, pictures, yes, things like that, yes.
Is there any property in that storage unit that you want?
Well, I'm holding her stuff because it's sentimental. I mean, I can get it, I wouldn't mind having it, but it's really, she got a lot of sentimental stuff in there, so that's why I've been paying.
Furniture?
Yes, furniture, clothes.
Furniture.
Pictures, everything,
Okay.
Yes.
How far away is the storage unit from where you live?
It's in Charlotte, North Carolina.
How far away?
10-hour drive. We stay in Michigan, and the storage is in North Carolina, Charlotte.
Anybody that you know live there close to the storage unit?
My aunt and my cousin does.
And this picture that you want, do you know where it is?
It's in the photo album with the rest of the pictures.
And other than that one picture in a photo album, you don't want anything else, any of the other property?
No.
You two are the heirs, is that right?
We have a brother.
Does he have, as far as you know, any interest in any of your mother's property?
No. When my mom passed, It was me, my niece, and my older brother there at the time of death. And so he got everything he wanted out, and he gave me the key because I was the next to older one because she wasn't there. So he was like, so y'all do what y'all want to do with it. And so that's when I told her, I'll pay it until we go get it.
You said, I'll pay for the storage unit until we go and get it.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'd like you to tell me about this money that she gave you. Do you remember when she gave you the $800?
She gave me the money, I want to say May of 2020.
And can you tell me what the conversation was when she gave you the money?
Here is some money to go towards going to get the things, you know. And so I told her, well, I'll find a way to go get it. I didn't never give her a designated time, but during that time, that was COVID, so no one was able to go. And so I was going to go this year because I just signed the papers to go and go get the stuff, but no one still was able to go. She never once said that this was money loaned to go get it.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, she had designated it to go and get the property.
Yes.
And you didn't use it to go and get the property.
I used it towards the storage.
No.
I'm sorry, go ahead. No.
The answer is no.
No.
So that's what her complaint is, that it wasn't used for its intended purpose, which was to go rent a truck, movers, and bring the property to where you both live. Okay, and she did give you $800.
Yes.
Okay, and Miss Bentley, you're prepared to sign a document that indicates that the only property you want from storage is a photograph of you and your mother that's in a photo album.
Yes.
That you want nothing else, that everything else belongs to either your sister or any other heirs that have a legitimate claim on any of that property, but you want nothing else.
That's fine.
Reasonable?
Fine.
Perfect. I'm entering a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800 with the proviso that the plaintiff will, in fact, sign that document indicating she wants nothing but one photograph from the storage unit.
I gave her $150 back.
Did she give you $150 back?
She did give me $150 back.
You paid her back. So she goes, you're $650. Judgment for the plaintiff, $650. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
It was my mother's stuff. I just was trying to get the stuff. It was in storage for long enough.
We haven't talked in a whole year.
We're not close.
You know, all she wanted is the picture. I give her a picture.
At least I got what I wanted.
We still sisters, still love her.
Those look like two nice sisters. And I think part of that problem is the intervention of COVID, which really turned everybody's life upside down.
Especially family units.
Family units, because I think that was the intention, that she was going to pay for it to all be brought up, use that money, and then they would go through the property and decide who wanted what and what would be disposed of. It's not an egregious case of misappropriation of funds.
All well-intentioned, I think.
Well-intentioned. I thought it was a sweet case.
Case 2111, Banks versus Mitchell. All parties, please step forward.
Queen Vanessa Banks is suing her former friend, Fulton Mitchell, for an unpaid loan and stolen money.
Miss Banks, what kind of work do you do?
I'm a city contractor for the city and county of San Francisco.
How long have you been working for the city of San Francisco?
30 years.
You a full-time employee?
No, I'm a contractor, so I'm used as needed.
Well, in the last month, how many days have you worked?
Like around 40 hours the whole month.
How do you support yourself?
I'm on disability.
How long have you been on disability?
Since roughly like around February of 2022.
When you applied for disability, were you originally rejected or did they accept your claim?
I was rejected 3 times, actually.
So when you started collecting in February of 2022, you got a big check for back disability.
Yes, ma'am.
I know my business. How much of a check did you get?
I got $7,000 the first time, and they just submitted me like $8,000 a month or 2 ago, and then there are some more coming, and they all came yet.
They advised you, because you were rejected, as you said, 2 or 3 times, that there would be a total amount coming to you. You got a letter from the administration.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And what is the total amount that they told you you would be receiving in increments?
I think it was like $18,000.
And you had a lawyer at the appeal.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you applied for disability, did you say that there was no kind of work that you could do? I'm jaundiced. I know that people put money in somebody else's bank when they want to hide it from the government, creditors, a spouse looking for support, all what I would call nefarious reasons to put money in somebody else's bank.
Queen Vanessa Banks claims her former friend, Fulton Mitchell, stole money from their shared bank account.
Now, when you applied for disability, did you say that there was no kind of work that you could do?
Well, actually...
No, not actually. They're giving you $18,000. They said that they should have taken your case when you first applied for disability. So they had to have found that you could not hold gainful employment. That's what it's all about when you get federal disability.
Right.
Right. So I want to know what this 40 hours a month that you worked last month as an independent contractor. What kind of independent contractor were you?
I actually sit on Zooms, and I am a consultant, so I'm on Zooms most of the time.
And when you're not on Zooms, where are you?
At home.
What do you consult about?
I am an urban consultant, so I work with various people that's trying to find out about urban living and mental health, basically working around mental health.
How are you paid?
They might mail a check.
No, not might.
They mail a check.
What do you do with that check?
I usually cash it at a store in the community.
You cash it. What is your hourly wage?
As a consultant?
Yeah.
I'm usually paid like $130 an hour.
And what's the amount of money you get from disability a month, not counting these extra payments for when they denied you disability?
$1,000.
So you get $1,000 a month plus $130 an hour times the last month you said was 40 hours. So you make $4,000 or $5,000 a month from your consulting job for the city.
No way.
Well, am I correct, Whitney, that Ms. Banks said that she worked about 40 hours last month?
Can I explain something? Not
No.
all.
No.
She said around 40 hours the whole month.
Okay. Would you tell me what she says she earns an hour?
It's usually $130 an hour.
$5,200. And when you get the checks for these consulting things, you take them and you cash them. That's either a yes or a no. Do you work as a sole independent contractor, or do you have an LLC or a corporation?
No, ma'am.
So the checks are made out to you?
Yes, ma'am.
As an independent contractor?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to pay your own taxes, so you're 1099 from all these people?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you declare on your taxes last year?
I didn't file taxes last year, ma'am.
Why not? You said you've been working in this capacity on and off for 30 years.
Because,
for the
ma'am,
city.
Where I come from, a lot of the work is volunteer work considered, and you are given a stipend. And some of the work I do, sometimes I don't even get paid, but I still do the work.
Listen, you know exactly where I'm going. We're two savvy people. When you cash those checks, because this is what the case is about, for some reason, because I'm trying to figure out why somebody puts money into somebody else's bank account, because part of this case is about that. You and Mr. Mitchell became friends, maybe a little bit more than friends, I don't know. At some point, according to you, you gave him money to hold in his bank account because his bank account was closer to where you are and you didn't want to go on two buses to where your bank was. Am I getting that right? Is that what you...
No, ma'am.
Let's see. I'm telling you why I made these inquiries to you. I was struggling to find a way to get access to my money. I always took the bus to the bank, but during COVID, public transportation shut down or was completely unreliable, and I was in a bind. This is what you write. When Fulton heard about my problem, he offered to hold my money for me in his bank. He said that he didn't keep any money in that account, so it would be perfect, because his bank was right where I worked. I only know of several reasons why strangers put money in somebody else's account. You know, I may have an account with Sarah. I may have an account with one of my other grandchildren. I have an account with my husband. But I've had a best friend for 70 years, and another best friend for 30 years. And I would never think of putting money in their bank account because there are banks all over the place. I'm just telling you, you know, I'm jaundiced. I know that people put money in somebody else's bank when they want to hide it, when they want to hide it from the government, creditors, a spouse looking for support, a spouse looking for alimony, a contractor who has a judgment against them. All what I would call nefarious reasons to put money in somebody else's bank. But let us say that you did put money in this bank account, and you say that money was withdrawn. Your money was withdrawn from that account to pay his taxes. Is that what you're alleging?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How much was withdrawn from his account that only his name was on? Or was your name on it too?
My name is on it too.
Oh, there we go. Now I can understand it, why you might owe taxes. I don't know anything about his business, but I can certainly understand that you might. Did you receive notice that the IRS took money out of this bank account, which was then a joint bank account?
No, I did not.
So if her name was on it, it was a joint account.
It was not. It was my account, and I added her name to my
That's okay. That makes it a joint account.
Yes.
Okay, well, I didn't have that information in here because joint account is absolutely different. Joint account means that the money belongs to both of you. Now, what makes you think that the money that was taken out of the account was to pay his taxes?
Because I have proof, Your
I'd
Honor.
like to see it. What account is this? Whose money is that?
Mine.
Explain that to me. This is a deposit here for $988.68. What is that?
That's when the pandemic hit and the struggle started getting hard trying to get money. And being that me and him was business partners, that's when he decided to try to help me out.
You know, I neither have the time or the interest to hear about the nuances of this stuff because I don't have the wherewithal, either emotionally or structurally, to figure out the whole scam. I haven't figured it all out yet, but I'm beginning to figure it out. So you deposited $988 and then withdrew at some point in May. That was on June 9th. I don't have the rest of it here, but you withdrew $1,600 from that account on May 25th. Do you remember what that was for?
May 25th?
Yeah, May 25th, $1,600. June 3rd, tax levy, $2,711.
The May 25th is because that's my daughter's birthday, and I spent time with my daughter. And then the June 3rd tax levy is why I'm here with you today.
What kind of business were you in together with the defendant?
You want me to answer that?
No, you answer it. What
type of business were you together? He works for the city and county. I'm a grassroots organizer, so I work within his organization so that we can do things together.
That's not true.
Your Honor, I have proof. I do work with his organization. I'm putting on a Halloween event.
I don't
Here's
care.
his logo
Let's understand each other. I don't care because something doesn't smell right for me. And if something doesn't smell right with this nose, it's usually accurate. Usually. You said you took out $1,000. When and for what purpose?
I took out the $1,000 and I gave it to Miss Banks.
That's not what you said.
What did I say, Miss Judy?
It's not what you said. It's not what you swore to.
Queen Vanessa Banks is suing her former friend, Fulton Mitchell, for an unpaid loan and stolen money.
When someone puts money in somebody else's bank account, it's because they're trying to somehow shield that money from some sort of scrutiny. If your only source of income, which you would like me to believe, is this $1,000 from disability and the $18,000 that you're going to get for retroactive disability.
She was on some other kind of services also. I don't know whether it was SSI or something. When she first came to me, she wanted me to hold the money and put it in my account because she didn't want it to mess up her money.
That's not true. That's not true, Your Honor. He started helping me in 2019. In 2020, he asked me for a loan to help one of his daughters of $1,900. We were both trying to start up a business. We didn't know the pandemic was going to come, Your Honor. We was trying to start up a business.
I've never tried to start up a business.
Just a second.
Your Honor, I got proof because he lying to you.
Just a second. I don't care that you were starting a business. It doesn't make any difference to me. It really doesn't make any difference to me. You had a joint account, and the IRS took money out of that joint account. Was that your tax debt?
I don't know.
The answer is you don't know. Okay, well, this says that it was the levy from California Franchise Tax Board was against Fulton W. Mitchell.
That's me.
That's what it's...
I asked her to show me that. I said, prove it to me. No, she never showed me that ever.
Okay, so my question to you is, sir, because of course you have to pay your own taxes.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? You would acknowledge that this bank account had only her funds in it?
No, it had my funds in there too.
Show me any deposits that you made into this account.
Well, I had money in there way before I put her money into my account. It's been in my account for over 10, 15 years.
What I want to see, Mr. Fulton,
Yes.
is any place where you deposited $27.11, because that's what they took out.
No, I didn't deposit $27.11 into that account.
Ever?
No.
Okay, good. This responsibility is yours. You would acknowledge that
Yes.
it's yours.
Yes.
Okay, so that's $2,700, which you in fact owe her. She probably owes IRS or the state of California more money, because I'm not sure that they know where all this money is going. Did you take any other money out of that account?
No, ma'am.
Yes, you did. You took out $1,000. You acknowledge
Well, I
you took
gave
out
it-
$1,000 by accident, you said, sir, and you said you paid it back.
She got it back.
Okay, well
That's
then
not
don't
true,
say,
Your Honor.
shh, don't speak. Got into enough trouble, right, so far. You said you took out $1,000. When and for what purpose?
I took out the $1,000 and I gave it to Ms. Banks.
That's not what you said.
What did I say, Ms. Judy?
It's not what you said. It's not what you swore to. You said, there was a time when I accidentally withdrew $1,000 from the account that belonged to Vanessa, but I paid her back in June 2022.
There you go.
I said, what do you mean, there you go? I said, when did you take money out of her account?
That was the only time I took the money out.
Well, tell me about it.
Vanessa started harassing me. She started showing up to my job and just doing all kind of stuff, so I was just trying to get rid of her.
And?
So I took the money out and gave it to her, and I'm...
Just a second. Put your hand down. Don't you understand what you signed?
Yeah.
You said I accidentally took money out of her account, but then I gave it back to her, because if you accidentally took it out, it means it didn't belong to you. When did you accidentally take it out, and when did you give it back to her?
I took out the money, and the money was given to her. That was it. That was it. I was done with it.
Well-
I was done with her. I was done with all of it.
There was a time when I accidentally withdrew $1,000 from the account that belonged to Vanessa, but I paid that back in June 2022.
Those words are mixed up a little bit there.
That's what I read. That's your answer, sir. As for the rest of the money she claims I owe her, it's all a bunch of lies. I never took a $1,900 loan and don't owe money for the IRS. Well, you do owe money for the IRS, because one of the things I think that everybody has to pay is their own tax levy and their own child support. You would acknowledge that.
I agree.
Okay, tell me about this loan of $1,900, Ms. Banks.
Mr. Mitchell had fell into a lot of hardship in the pandemic, and he came to me and asked me, could I loan him $1,900 to help out one of his daughters? And I gave it to him, and he agreed to pay it back. And we was just like trying to handle business together. And I thought he was a friend.
Show me proof that you gave him $1,900.
It was cash, Your Honor. The $1,000 he's saying he handed me back in June, that was from the $1,900.
I'm not following you, madam. Are you saying that he in total owed you, forget the IRS, $2,900, $1,000 that he took in 19?
He asked for $1,900
Never asked
cash.
you for $1,900.
I gave him $1,900 in cash.
Not true.
Then he paid me back $1,000 in June of 2022.
You have money in my account. Why would I ask you for $1,900? I would just go in there and grab it. That makes no sense.
Just a second. Why are you talking to her?
I'm sorry.
Where do you think you are?
I'm sorry. I apologize. She's never given me no $1,900. She's never given me anything in cash, period, ever.
I have proof.
I'm willing to look at it.
Yes, I told him that I needed to move forward with it, and if he don't give me what I need, I'll put it in writing. So
Well,
we
you
had
may
a
put it in
talk.
writing. Well, you sent this to him, and it says acknowledgement of monetary debt in the amount of $4,600. You typed this up, and he never signed it.
No, he never signed it.
Well, then it's meaningless. You can type up anything. I can type up something that says I own all of Sarah's real estate. If she doesn't sign it, I don't own anything.
Well, that's where $1,000 came from, because he was trying to cover that.
Yeah. You know, somehow I think I'm dealing with, I'm not sure about one or two people who've managed to master the system. And
No, not at all. I've never-
I don't know.
I've never
I don't
seen
know.
the system
All I
for
know is
nothing.
if
I worked
somebody
for
is
over
working.
25 years
Just
for
a
the
second.
city and county.
Just a second. There's a reason why she asked to be added to your bank account. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't look as if you're a foolish man. What was the reason she gave you for wanting to have a bank account where you were the primary on that bank account? What was the reason she gave you?
She gave me the reason that she didn't want it to mess up her income.
That's not true.
Just a second. So she said, I don't want it to
She said she didn't want to put it in her name because she didn't want to mess up her income that she had coming in.
her income from what?
Some kind of assistance. I'm not sure exactly what it was.
Whatever. Anyway, got a nice windfall, $18,000. By the way, I have one other question for you. In your complaint, which you read and signed and swore to, Fulton heard about my problems with money and where to put it, and he offered to hold my money in his account. He said he doesn't keep any money in there, so it would be perfect, because his bank was right where I worked. Where was his bank, and where do you work?
I work in the community that I was born and raised in, which is Bayview.
Okay, I'm not going to get a straight answer. You owe her for her tax debt, nothing else, $2,700.
This court is adjourned.
That's it, you're done.
I'll watch her like every day.
It was fair.
I'm thankful that she saw what it was for what it was.
You know, she asked me to put some money in the account for her. I did.
I never had to harass him. We were business partners for 2 or 3 years.
I don't know if it was a business agreement or not.
Because I told him I want my money.
I'm just happy it's over with.
You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking that I wouldn't have had that information about Social Security disability unless Poppy was an administrative law judge with Social Security 40 years ago. And I remember exactly what the drill was. File, you rejected, you file, you rejected, and finally you have to hire a lawyer, and the lawyer gets a big chunk of the relief, and you get all your back payments. So I have a feeling I was dealing with two people who had a substantial skill set in how to negotiate and suck every dollar from the system, whether it was deserved.
Brock is suing horse breeder Jessica Austin for the deposit on a horse.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2136, Dippenbrock versus Austin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dippenbrock.
Yes.
You bought a foal, which is a baby horse, in utero, which means that the horse had not yet had this foal, but you wanted to place an order for it, and Miss Austin is in that business.
Correct.
You entered into a contract. By the way, what is the gestation period of a horse?
Roughly 340 days.
And at what period in the horse's pregnancy did you enter into this contract with the plaintiff?
Roughly 3.5 months into the gestation.
Okay. Did you have a written contract?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at it because this is a contract action. And it is your claim that you made a substantial deposit, over $3,000, for the horse, that when the horse was born, it did not meet the specifications of this contract. You wanted your money back. The defendant says that's not true,
Correct.
that the horse did meet all of the requirements of this contract. The one specifically that you're referring to is something in this contract, which I will read, I assume, that says that the horse must be, once born, insurable within the first 2 days or 48 hours of its birth, and that this horse was not insurable within 48 hours, and therefore you decided to terminate the contract. That's your position, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, I request.
And it's your position that the horse was, in fact, insurable. You say you can prove that because you did, in fact, get insurance on the horse within 48 hours of the horse's birth? And
so...
No, don't. Your
Part of that
position is
statement
that you met the conditions of the
Yes.
contract.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. The deposit for 25% of the purchase price, the seller agrees to hold the foal off market exclusively for the buyer until the foal reaches 48 hours old and is deemed insurable. Well, does that mean the foal is taken from the mother and transferred?
No.
So the foal stays with the mother until it's how old?
I choose to wean at 6 months because they seem to be better adjusted if you wait until that period.
Okay, and it's not that you can't get insurance, it's that a live, healthy foal is defined as a foal that is deemed insurable at 48 hours old. And if the mare fails to produce a live, healthy foal, then the buyer may request a refund of the deposit or a credit towards another purchase. Okay, so the foal was born when?
June 9th, 2022 at roughly 5:30 in the morning.
Okay, your case, your proof.
Okay. So I had to find out the foal was born through Facebook.
Okay, whatever.
Never notified me. And then I went to see the foal when it was a day old on Thursday.
1 day old?
I mean, well,
not even 12 hours old, basically.
Okay, so it was not a day old. It was 12 hours old.
Correct, I'm sorry, 12 hours old. June
Okay.
10th, she told me the vet would be out at 9:30 in the morning to do the routine foal exam, and I have requested to be notified of the results.
Just tell me about the contract. The foal is born alive and is how old now?
She turned 5 months old on the 9th of this month.
Have pictures of her?
I do.
I'd like to see. Oh, she's beautiful.
Thank you.
Have you seen her?
I have.
Recently?
No.
Would you show the plaintiff these photographs? Yes. Looks perfectly healthy to me.
I couldn't get insurance
Just a
when
second,
she was...
Just a second. Looks perfectly healthy to me. And I'm not an expert, but you would say that that horse looks pretty healthy.
Yes.
Okay, great. So now the horse is 12 hours old, and tell me the rest.
So at 48 hours old, I submitted the vet report to 8 insurance companies, and they all declined to insure the animal.
Just a second. You submitted what report? Let me see the report, and let me see what you received.
Okay.
Did you furnish her with a report within 48 hours?
I furnished her with what the vet gave me. He did the vet exam at 24 hours old, but he had to draw blood and send it to a lab.
Okay.
And wait for that
Just
to
let
come
me.
back.
This first thing is dated June 12th, 2022. And this laboratory is sending the report to you, and it seems that they put the horse on a course of antibiotics initially for one day because something came back high. But it says, I do not believe all foals should automatically get antibiotics. However, I stand by our decision to treat what turned out to be a completely normal and healthy foal. We can pull follow-up labs to be sure, but her behavior since the blood sample backs up the lab results. Her behavior since the blood samples, what does that mean?
So for a foal to be considered doing well behaviorally, it needs...
What are you a doctor of, first tell me?
People. Internal medicine.
Okay.
For people.
Okay.
I brought an
You're the
expert witness veterinarian.
Okay. So now I have these test results, which I don't understand, and I'd like to see your reports from the insurance companies. How long was the foal on antibiotics?
She received 2 doses, one the day the vet came out, and then one the following morning before he got the blood test results back.
Which, when the blood test results came back,
They were normal.
They were normal.
Yes. And he said, don't give any more antibiotics. She does not need them.
And this report that you have from one insurance company, or from actually all of them, say underwriters have declined to provide coverage at this time and will reassess when the foal is off antibiotics. Well, the foal was off antibiotics within 2 days.
Mrs. Austin told me she was on antibiotics for 3 days, actually. And then
Well, either
she
2 or
started
3 days, but then the test results came back normal.
The insurance companies, each of them will wait a certain amount of days. So that particular one wanted to wait 7 days to reassess after the foal had been off antibiotics. A few of the companies were 30 days, and I think one was 14 days.
Well, but that doesn't matter. All you need is one.
I was taking a risk with having an animal that's uninsured, and I wasn't ready to...
This is problematic for me, because if I put a deposit down on something that I really wanted, and within 2 or 3 days, any question with regard to whether or not the animal was insurable or healthy, if my intention was to honor the contract, I would say, let's see if the results are normal or abnormal. Now, the results came back that the foal was perfectly healthy. So unless you had, in my view, something preconceived that you wanted out of this deal for some reason other than insurability, it's your horse.
I signed the contract based on the fact that she could be insured. The year before, I purchased another in utero, and that foal was insured at 24 hours old, and with the same type of contract. I wasn't going
Well,
to enter
that's
into
all
a
right,
contract.
but that's all, you understand what I'm saying
I
to you.
understand,
You
but I-
understand what I'm saying to you, because my problem is After I made the deposit, according to you, some things came to my attention that gave me anxiety. This is before the foal was even born. I learned about several of plaintiff's horses that had to be put down. She had horses that were unsound, lame, and missing eyes. Her young horses were jumping and running in paddocks with huge boulders. I also found out that she tried to sell the mare that was pregnant with my foal to a friend of mine. It was unsettling.
Correct.
Right. So I'm trying to just put this in chronological order for myself to understand whether there was a true breach of this contract. You have a counterclaim.
Yes, Your Honor.
For what?
When I originally got the notification from the court, I got kicked in the head by a horse on July 4th, and they had done testing. I'm out of work. They said I have a cognitive deficit.
What does that have to do with what you want?
Later.
So this is a picture of the car before he painted it?
No, ma'am, that's after.
Oh, doesn't look bad.
From afar.
Listen, when you're born in 1964, everything looks better from afar.
Diane Deppenbrock is suing horse breeder Jessica Austin for the deposit on a horse. Jessica is countersuing for breach of contract.
The foal is born on the 9th of June.
Correct.
Was given a dose of antibiotics on the 10th of June.
Correct.
Because they were suspicious of something before the blood was drawn.
Correct.
Given another dose of antibiotics in the morning of the 11th.
Correct.
The blood results come back on the 12th, which indicates that the horse was totally normal, and you advised her, correct? That the
I
test
immediately
result...
forwarded the email to her, correct.
Okay, now the foal is 50 hours old, and you're told that the foal is totally healthy. I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with your position that there was a material breach of this contract. I think that a perfectly healthy horse was born, and it was within a reasonable period of time, may not have been 48 hours, but if they were being very cautious in starting the course of antibiotics. You're the vet. Stand up and tell me if I'm not seeing something. The vet who saw the horse, was that you?
It was not.
Okay. Evidently decided that to be very cautious, they would await the blood test result on the horse, on the baby, and start a course of antibiotics that could be stopped if the blood tests came back normal, which they did within a day. Oh, I don't think that there's been a material breach of this contract by the defendant. I think that you're obligated. If she wanted specific performance, that's fine, but you're not entitled to your deposit back.
I have an email from the insurance company from the 21st when she finally told me that the foal was insured.
Just a second.
I can't take that risk for 2 weeks on an animal.
No.
Get insurance on.
No. But your problem is, it wasn't 2 weeks. Your problem was it was less than a day within adding it on to that 48-hour period. And I have to determine whether that was a material breach of the contract. Certainly, if the lab results came back that show that there was any deficiency in the horse, I would say absolutely you're entitled to your deposit back. But they did not. They came back and they said that a vet wanted to be very cautious, but the vet turned out to be wrong.
My contract didn't state anything about a vet.
I'm telling you, I don't find that one day was a material breach of the contract, because if you had then on the third day sent the normal blood test results out to the same insurance company, the insurance company would have found that the horse was insurable.
They wouldn't, because they wanted to wait 7 days until the horse was off antibiotics.
Then you wait 7 days. That's still not a material breach. She's not asking you for the rest of the money.
So something would have happened in those 2 weeks. I would have been out $9,000.
That is not
just a second.
accurate.
You were not. You weren't going to take the horse until the horse was 6 months old.
I wasn't going to take the horse if it wasn't if it couldn't be insured.
Well, it could be insured. It turned out that the vet was cautious and you were wrong. And I believe that you had already made a decision in your mind.
I had not already made a decision.
Well, I find that there's not a material breach. You don't get your deposit back. Now, horse is yours. You have a counterclaim.
Yes, Your Honor.
For what?
$1,500 for my lawyer costs and another $100 to file the counterclaim.
For your lawyer's costs for what?
When I originally got the notification from the court, I got kicked in the head by a horse on July 4th, and they had done testing. I'm out of work. They said I have a cognitive deficit that they're working.
What does that have to do with what you want? I mean, I'm sorry about that, but what?
I obtained a lawyer to represent me in court because I didn't know if I would be capable of representing myself.
Oh, well, but you are perfectly capable of representing yourself. You don't get your deposit back. So now you have a perfectly healthy horse that you can sell and hopefully sell for the same amount that you sold it to the plaintiff for and pay your attorney's fees. Do you understand? Because she lost her deposit. I don't think that there was a material breach of a contract with an extra 1 day to get normal lab results back. Your case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
As the judge read from the contract, as the seller, I assumed all risk on the foal until she was 6 months old.
Put a lot of money to make an investment in, and you want to make sure that your assets are covered and that the horse can be properly taken care of if something does come up.
Therefore, the argument that the buyer would lose anything if something happens to the foal is inaccurate.
I'm really happy with the 2 horses that I have, and I'll continue to stick with the ethical breeders that I know.
And the insurance that we obtained was based on the exam at 24 hours old. Therefore, we have proven that we upheld the contract.
So one interesting thing about that case is, as I was looking at the calendar of what day the horse was born and when the vet came out first and when the results came back, the horse was born on a Friday, and then the vet came out Saturday, and I was surprised that any lab sent labs back on a Sunday. So in a business that's so dependent on something you can't control when the horse is going to give birth, why would the defendant put in her own contract a 48-hour, such a tight window for insurability for the horse? Maybe it's standard practice. I don't know standard practices for horses or anything like that. But
you're right, it's a tight window. And my guess is, although I could have asked the question, probably standard in that industry, I'm not sure. But it's interesting to note that in contract law, unless time is of the essence, there has to be some sort of material breach. And, you know, in this case, if the defendant had not had a vet come out and look at the horse for a week, well, that's a different story. She had a vet come out immediately. The vet was super cautious. Vet turned out to be ultimately, thankfully, mistaken that there was nothing wrong with the horse. Got a clean blood test, but the plaintiff had already determined that she had buyer's remorse with regard to this deal. There was another agenda there because the horse looked beautiful as it turned out, 5 months old, and a beautiful animal, and it was perfectly clear within 60 hours.
And the defendant seems to love it now and very proud of it, so it's in a good place anyway.
Yeah.
Case 2134, Wimberly versus Mahara. All parties, please step forward.
Tina Wimberly is suing auto body worker Robert Miera for a refund of a 1969 VW Bug paint job.
Miss Wimberly, tell me about this car that you have.
So I have a 69 Volkswagen Beetle. I've had the car for about 20 years.
Where did you buy it?
In Salt Lake City, Utah.
Is it a bus or a Bug?
It's a Bug.
My goodness, I remember everyone had one of those cars. The whole world had those little Bugs when they came out. Except me, scared to death. Okay. Anyway, you've had it for a long time and you try to keep it restored. Do you have a photograph of it?
I do, yes,
I'd like to take a look at it, please. You acknowledge it's unsatisfactory because you said,
I didn't
I'll
acknowledge.
fix it.
I said I'd take care of it. And a good gesture to try to make things work with her. I did not deny her any kind of service or say, go get lost until she started cursing at me.
No.
She didn't tell you she was cursing at me, you know.
Tina Wimberly claims auto body worker Robert Miera owes a refund on a 1969 VW Bug paint job.
As you're getting that, the case is simple. You want your money back for a bad paint job that you say that Mr. Miera did on the car. Okay. So this is a picture of the car before he painted it?
No, ma'am, that's after.
Oh, that's after?
Yes.
Oh, doesn't look bad.
From afar.
Listen, when you're born in 1964, everything looks better from afar. Okay, and that's an interesting color. Do you have a photograph of what the car looked like before you took it in to the defendant?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
But I have pictures of after the bubbling that it's doing.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. Okay. Have you shown these pictures of the bubbling to Mr. Miera?
I have, Your Honor.
And You've seen them, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is the story. You brought your car into Mr. Miera to paint it. He gave you a price. The price was?
Originally, it was $3,500.
What did you ultimately pay him?
It wasn't.
$6,500.
Okay, so you paid him $6,500 to paint it. When had you brought him the car?
In January.
Of what year?
2021.
And when did you pick the car up from him?
May of 21. I was moving from Albuquerque, New Mexico to Louisiana, and as May got closer and closer, I kept telling him, I'm leaving, I'm leaving.
Okay, the car was there from January until May.
Yes, ma'am.
You picked the car up in May. Was it ready in May?
Yes, ma'am.
When she picked it up?
Yes, it was ready when she picked it up.
When had you painted it?
Probably painted it at the beginning of April.
No, ma'am.
Is that when you started sanding it down, I assume?
Oh, no, she actually sanded the car down herself.
So the car was completely sanded when you got it?
No, it wasn't completely sanded. We had an agreement that she was supposed to help me repair the car. You know, that's why I gave her a price that I did, because she wanted to help and learn how the process went.
Okay.
So
just look up for me.
So I gave her
1969 VW Bug.
So I gave her
found
the
it on the
chance
classic cars. Okay.
learn the
But
process.
you say it was ready when she picked it up.
Yes.
Okay. And she showed you the pictures of the bubbling on the car.
Yes.
And she paid you $6,500.
Yes.
Well, I would have a trouble with that bubbling myself.
Of course, I understand.
So?
I offered to fix the car.
And?
She didn't want to bring it back.
Well, that's trip far to bring it back.
Well, that's all I can do. I can offer to fix it, you know.
Well, by offering to fix it, you acknowledge that I would say as a layperson, this is not what I would expect.
Well, I said
this was not what I would expect if I paid $6,000
of course
to paint a car. And what steps, because this bubbling seems to be in various spots of the car, so it's impossible, and I'm a layperson, you know, I went to law school.
Yeah.
I didn't go to mechanic school or painting school, but I've lived a long time, and when you have spots like this on anything, either a wall or a car, you can't just spot fix it, right?
No, you can spot fix it.
It's all over the car.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Well, it's been my experience that you can't spot fix it because this is a bright color. It was done now almost a year and a half ago, and you're not going to be able to match colors because car colors like bright ones fade. So if you just do it in spots, it'll look like a leopard.
Well, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
There's ways to adjust the paint, the color of the paint.
Well,
you can tint
Mr. Miera, she is not bringing the car to New Mexico when she now lives in Louisiana.
Yes.
Because that would cost her. I know I transport cars of mine when I move around, and that's very expensive. Not quite as expensive as the paint job, but close, which would mean she would have to incur a substantial expense to get you back the car from a paint job that clearly was unsatisfactory.
Well,
that you acknowledge as unsatisfactory because you said,
I didn't
I'll
acknowledge.
fix
I said I'd take care of it in a good gesture to try to make things work with her. I did not deny her any kind of service or say, go get lost until she started cursing at me.
No.
She didn't tell you she was cursing at me, you know.
Well, Mr. Miera, if what I say you would have to do would be to start over, sand down the car, which she did herself, according to you, because if she sanded the car...
She got a discount for working on her... She worked on her own car, so she got a discount for working on her own car. So she had her hand in it as well.
That's terrific. You're going to give her back her money, $6,500. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I think when she transported the car, the moisture and the climate that she took it to may have played a factor.
I totally disagree with what he said because I took it from his house, put it in another van.
And having the car bubble like that, but you know, I'm not sure. There's a lot of things that could happen.
And the moisture with what he's claiming, there's no way.
I tried to rectify the situation and it didn't work out, so.
Time to get it looking good again.
he never got back to me about how much the 1969 Beetles were worth. And I was surprised because reading the papers, reading a $6,500 paint job, I was surprised at that. Like, that was very expensive to me. But then when I looked up how much the cars are worth, they're worth anywhere between $12,000 and $35,000 for a nicely kept, maintained vintage car, similar to the one that I saw briefly in the photos.
I'm sorry for not getting back to you.
It's okay.
I got caught up.
But I think you made the right call, because after the paint job, we saw the damage or the bubbling, and I know that you or I would not be satisfied with that paint job on an asset that was worth that amount of money.
Of course.
So I think the right thing happened.
I'm sorry. Forgive me.
It's okay.
I'll try.
Gigi Garcia is suing club promoter Herman Patine for a refund on concert tickets.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2184, Garcia versus Pantene.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Ms. Garcia, it is your claim that you purchased some concert tickets through the defendant. You paid him for them.
Correct.
And you didn't get them.
Correct.
He has some story about you going on the wrong day. Okay. How do you know him?
Through a mutual friend.
How long do you know him?
Since September, when this mutual friend actually introduced us, and we engage in this kind of concert ticket purchase.
No, you're getting ahead of yourself. You met him through a mutual friend. How?
We went out to a club.
Who went out to a club?
Two of my girlfriends and LP.
Went with him?
Yes.
Well, then one of your girlfriends knew him. You had not met him before?
No.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm an artist.
What kind of an artist?
Produce and sing.
You do that for a living for how long?
For 12 years.
You have family?
No, I'm by myself, yeah.
Who do you live with?
By myself and my dog.
Yourself and your dog?
Yeah, my dog, yeah.
What kind of a dog do you
I
have?
have a Jack Russell.
Okay. What do you know about securing tickets for concerts, music events? What do you know about it?
What do you mean by that? I don't understand
Well,
the
I
question.
know that if you're in the music business, let's say you want to go to a concert.
Okay.
You personally want to go to a concert with a friend.
Yeah.
How do you get the tickets?
It depends. You either push the ticket online if you want to pay the full price, or sometimes people have deal for ticket because they have in, and you get the ticket like that, and it's cheaper.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell me, Ms. Garcia, exactly how you contacted the defendant and told him that you wanted concert tickets and what you wanted concert tickets to.
So I text LP and I asked him, hey, I heard that you had concert tickets. And he said he did. He's like, oh, I have 2 concert tickets.
2 concert tickets for what?
For the Bad Bunny concert for October 1st.
When I read your complaint and answer, I didn't know who Bad Bunny was. So I looked it up and was actually astounded to find out that he is a very uber popular rapper.
So we were very, very excited.
Okay. Did you tell the defendant what you wanted the tickets for?
Yes, I told him I was going to celebrate my birthday, and it was also going to be a gift to my sister, and then my girlfriend, whose also birthday is in October.
And
So
when
it was
is your
gonna be
birthday?
October 8th.
And did you tell him what date you wanted the tickets for?
He indicated that he had tickets for October 1st.
And he had 2 tickets for October 1st.
He at first had 2 tickets, and then later on said, oh, I have more tickets. And that's how I acquired 2 additional tickets.
Okay, so first he said he had 2 tickets for October 1st. Now, when she called you, you said, oh, I have 2 tickets. That's what she says.
Okay.
I have 2 tickets. Where did you get those 2 tickets from?
From someone who's close to the artist.
Give me the name.
Oh, his name is Clint.
Last name.
I don't know. I only see him in the club. I get ticket from him all the time.
Clint from what club?
He promote everywhere. Like he goes.
No, you said to me you got them from him at a club. I'm asking you what club.
Well,
Your Honor,
the name.
Actually, he had indicated that those were boxy tickets, and it was the owner of the boxy tickets that he was acquiring those tickets from.
I never said that.
The 2 tickets?
Oh, no,
Yes.
I never said
The
that.
2?
Yes.
I never said that. No.
I want you to tell me when she called you, how come you had 2 tickets for the concert that she wanted to go to? Were you going to go yourself?
The truth is, I always go to stuff like that because I have access to those tickets. Again, even if it's for sport or basketball, I always have access to those type of tickets.
So you have access to them?
Yes.
But she said that you told her you had 2 tickets.
When I say access,
if I request it, I know where to find it. So when her friend told me that, I said, yes, I can have access to those type of tickets. So maybe my language doesn't help with my grammar.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, so
That's
yes,
true. Maybe,
sorry for that.
Maybe it's problematic. It could be a little bit of my hearing, but it's also a little bit of your accent.
Yes, I have an accent.
Sometimes people don't understand my accent because I was born in Brooklyn, and they say to me, "What? We don't understand you." I understand that, but you understand that sometimes people could not.
If they misunderstand.
Right.
That's true.
Okay. But she told you she wanted the tickets for October 1st. There's no question she wanted to go on October 1st because she says in her complaint that she also booked a hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
What hotel?
It was a Sheraton.
Where is the Sheraton located?
It's by LAX.
Where do you live?
Norwalk.
Norwalk is where?
Approximately 15 miles east of LAX off the 105.
Okay, so you wanted to stay over for the concert?
Yes. So just one correction, that my cousin was the one that paid for the stay.
And the hotel was taken for one night, and was that the night of October 1st?
Yes.
For October 1st, the night of the concert.
Mm-hmm. So all the girls were going to get together that night, have a little pre-celebration. We were going to Uber to the concert. We didn't want to drink and drive. So when we got to the concert, we would get another Uber and then come back. We just want to be safe.
When did Mr. Patine tell you that he got extra tickets? First, he said he had two.
Mm-hmm. And
Did he tell you how much the two tickets were?
Yes, he indicated $150 each ticket. Mm-hmm.
How much did you pay for them, sir?
Basically, give the.
Not basically.
Huh?
Not
No,
basically.
sorry,
how much? There's this question.
It was $150.
So you are telling me that you didn't make any money?
No, because I was friend with her friend. So I was just trying to be nice for her birthday. So no, I wasn't making any money on that. I will charge more for those tickets if I want to make money. For the price of it, I will pay way more than that.
Well, so far. Then you got 4 more tickets.
Correct.
But you never saw the tickets.
Correct.
Okay.
They were in LA partying with us on the 2nd. We all drank, we partied, we went to a club. He felt bad for him and got a bottle service, and I have on video.
No, he didn't.
Just
he
a
got
second.
bottle
Just a
service,
second.
But
I
it
have on
wasn't from
video.
him.
I have on video.
I have on video.
Yeah, but that wasn't part of the deal.
Don't speak.
Gigi Garcia claims club promoter Herman Patine owes her a refund for Bad Bunny concert tickets.
Did you ask the defendant to send you a copy of the tickets?
I did on September
Just a second.
16th.
On what date?
September 16th.
Do you have an email to that effect?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Just so you know, there were 2 tour dates in Inglewood at the SoFi Stadium for Bad Bunny on both September 30th as well as October 1st.
Do you know how much he made, according to what I read yesterday? In his touring for the whole of the year, I read that his tour concert in 2022 was almost $400 million. Is that about right?
Yeah, it's the number one.
Almost
It's the number
$400
one now.
million.
Pretty darn close.
That's what I read. I was astounded. Since I know Frank Sinatra is no longer with us and there isn't anybody else that I would pay that kind of money to go and see. Okay, so you're in the music business and you have email.
Huh?
Is that right? You have an email? You have an email?
Yes, I have an
You
email.
have an iPhone?
Yes.
She asked you if you could send her copies of the tickets.
Okay.
Why didn't you send them?
Because I didn't have it at that time. I always
Oh,
receive
just a
it.
second.
Yes.
Because I didn't have them. That was September 16th. On what date did you get them and from whom?
I paid for the ticket on the Monday before the concert. The guy came to pick up the money on Monday night.
When the guy came to pick up the money Monday night before the event, did he give you the tickets?
Not right away, because he never do that. He always send me that after to my wallet on the...
Now I don't understand a word you're saying.
The wallet, when I received the ticket...
You
after
gave
that,
him the money. She sent you the money. How much money did she give you?
I was like 1,000.
How much money did you give him?
So the full amount was $1,215.
That's not how much she gave me, by the way.
No.
Just a minute.
Well,
only suing for $715.
Yeah, so there were two other young ladies that also purchased, and I'm not including them in my case.
So this
just
is
mine, just what I paid.
You paid $715.
Correct.
He got more money for the tickets, but you just paid him $715.
Yeah. So these were for 6 tickets. 5 tickets for $150, 1 ticket for $165.
Okay. How did you communicate with the one person who you gave the tickets to? How did you communicate with that person?
Phone. I call him.
Through the phone?
Yeah, I call him. He call me.
So you have his name on your phone?
Yes.
Have you seen him since October?
He disappeared for a while. After that.
Just a second. He disappeared for a while after you say that you gave him the money.
I was in contact with them and her friend. I gave her the number because I couldn't reach out to him. And
second, that sounds like a lot of Who Shot John. You were able to reach out to him when you wanted to give him money, allegedly, but then he disappeared.
But basically,
just a second, is he still disappeared?
No, he's still not disappeared. But
well, where is he now?
I don't know. I haven't spoken with him.
Since when?
Since maybe like December.
Why?
Because I have nothing to tell him. She sued me. So
well, just a second.
Yeah.
What did you tell him about the tickets?
He said we made a mistake on the day. It was for Friday, and they went to for Saturday. So on that, he got mixed up, and I get blamed for that. That's not fair.
Absolutely. She didn't deal with Clint. She dealt with you.
But this is why I give them the number, so they can call him directly. I did that.
But the deal was not with him. It was with you.
You don't have to answer.
Sorry.
But
you don't have to answer.
Actually, they talked to him directly.
She doesn't want to talk to him directly. She didn't deal with...
I wasn't even talking to her.
She didn't deal...
I wasn't talking to her. Her friend was talking to him directly. That's what I said.
Did she get money back from him directly?
I didn't get any money.
Just a second.
No, I'm mad. I'm blamed for something I do. And even that, I give half of the money back to her because I feel bad about the situation.
Just a second. When did you give her back half the money?
I think 2 weeks after.
Just a second. Did he give you back any money?
He gave us $500 out of 8.
Just a second. I don't care. He gave you back $500 because he felt badly.
And it was her birthday, and they were harassing me.
Did you give her the $500 directly?
No, because I wasn't.
No. Who did you give the $500?
To her friend, because I wasn't talking to her.
To a friend?
To her friend, because I wasn't talking to her.
Just a second. Your friend only, you said, paid for 2 tickets. Mm-hmm. Well, 2 tickets at most could have been $300.
Correct.
Did your friend give you back $200?
She did.
Okay.
So I am requesting the remainder, which is $715. And that's what we had texted him on October 10th. We had asked him to pay the full amount. This is the text where...
I want to see what he said to you.
No, he did not respond to me.
He did not?
Mm-mm.
Can I tell why?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because her friend was starting threatening me, sending crazy message text when we used to be friends, and it could be resolved another way. And when she starts sending me lawyer crazy email, I'm not answering. So I say, do what you got to do, and that's it.
I mean, if you would have responded.
Just a second. So if there was a mix-up, that was a mix-up that was not her mix-up because she clearly made it her business to book a room in order to go to the October 1st concert. So that was clear. It wasn't just going to the concert. It was going to be a whole evening. What do you want, and who are you?
I'm a witness to it all.
And he speaks better than me, so this is why I would like him to come, so that it might be easier for me.
Your Honor, my name's Imad. How are you? She said she booked a hotel for the 1st, but they were in LA partying with us on the 2nd because we all met up at his house. We all drank, we partied, we went to a club. He felt bad for him and got a bottle service, and I have on video.
No, he didn't.
Just
he
a
got
second.
Bottle
Just a second.
But it wasn't from him.
I have on video.
I have on video because that's what we do.
Feel bad.
Yeah, but that wasn't part of the deal.
Don't speak.
Sorry.
We have on video of them all partying with us on the 2nd. So they only...
So on the 2nd, by this time you knew you weren't going to the concert.
Yeah, I was expecting my money that night.
What?
I was expecting my money. Like, there was a mix-up. Okay, now where's our money? So we met up. They told me, hey, you know what? LP feels really bad. There was a mistake. I'm like, okay, cool. But where's my money? Because I got to pay my cousin, my sister. I got to pay my friends. I have that responsibility. They entrusted me with money, and therefore I had that responsibility. They're not going to come after him.
Okay. The tickets were for Friday night, sir. And you say you went there on Friday night.
No, you get confused on that. I wasn't going to the concert.
No, to give them the tickets. How are they supposed to get the tickets?
How do I know that? I have other stuff to do.
Just a second. Stop. I'm going to use him as a translator.
Gigi Garcia is accusing club promoter Herman Petit of purchasing Bad Bunny concert tickets for the wrong day.
Where is Clint? Speak. Where is Clint? I thought you were a witness to everything.
I've met him when he was giving him the money. We were at his house
Just a
having
second.
drinks.
Okay, so let's slow down a second, because you said I'm a witness to everything and I speak better than he does.
Yeah, sometimes.
So the Monday before the concert.
Correct.
You were with Clint.
I was with LP. I was with him. We were at his apartment watching Monday
And
Night Football.
Clint was there.
No, he called him, and then he asked me to come down with him. We went downstairs, and I never met the guy, and he gave him some money.
No, just a second.
Yeah.
So you were with him.
Yeah.
When he went downstairs and met Clint.
Correct.
Okay. And when he handed Clint the money, how much money did he hand him?
I couldn't tell you because I wasn't
that
really
close.
I was next to him, but I was on my phone, and I asked him after the fact. I was like,
what did he... Let's go back. So now you're upstairs watching Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
And does he get a call from Clint, or does he call Clint?
He was calling him earlier.
Okay, so he was calling Clint earlier.
Yeah.
And when he went down and gave him the money, did Clint give him anything?
No, he didn't.
Well, then what was the discussion that he had?
From what I heard was he...
Don't make it up as you're going along.
No.
Don't make it up. It's very bad. It's very bad if you make things up.
No.
Okay, so if either you heard it or you didn't.
He gave him the money, and I guess it was for the tickets, because he was telling me earlier that he was getting somebody's tickets. And I'm like, I've never met her before or her friends until the night of when we all went to the club, because I was at his house. Yeah. We were drinking, her friends came over and everything that we're supposed to go.
And it was at that time, was that the time that he gave them back $500?
No, I don't know about that.
When did you give them back $500?
I think 2 weeks after, approximately. I can check if you want to tell you the exact date. But I think 2 weeks after, and again, I did that out of my kindness. I don't want to give anything because that's not my fault. But I'm like, I feel bad. They were on me. I'm like, you know what? Here's something. Here's a gesture. That's what I can do. And even that, I was even willing to work with them. And I told her.
Yeah, I don't think it was their mistake, by the way.
Huh?
I don't think it was their mistake. They were girls going out to celebrate. They had planned a whole evening and day of going out to celebrate. They got to the concert. You weren't there on the first, because it's your claim that they got the date confused, that they were supposed to go Friday night, the 30th. That's what you say. You were there Friday night.
We're there.
Well, if the tickets were for Friday night, sir, which is what you claim, and you say you went there on Friday night.
Went where?
To the concert, to give them the tickets.
No, you get confused on that. I wasn't going to the concert.
No, to give them the tickets. How are they supposed to get the tickets?
How do I know that? You have to. I have other stuff to do.
Just a second. How are they supposed to... Hey, stop. I'm going to use him as a translator.
Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
No. You hadn't sent them the tickets on the day of the concert. According to your answer, sir, on the day of the concert, which was on September 30th, which would have been what was on the tickets, I waited for Gigi and her friends, but they never showed up. Pay attention to me. So if you went there on Friday to give them the tickets, that's what you say.
I'm talking about my house. Show how.
I'm reading to you what you swore to and what you signed in an answer. You say you're in a business for 12 years.
But I don't have people work for me.
Listen to me. Then you should have shown them your answer. What you said in your answer was...
Okay, my bad. Mistake for that.
Not my bad. On the day of the concert, I waited for Gigi and her friends to come and get their tickets, but they never showed up. The next day, I finally got on the phone with Gigi. Now, did she call you or did you call her?
I called her friend in the morning at like maybe 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. There's a mistake. I called her friend.
Okay, so you called her friend. Now, if you got there and they weren't there, you had her friend's... you had her friend's number, right?
It's not that.
You said I have...
It's not. That's not what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is I just read you what you wrote.
No, but I try to explain you. I wasn't at the concert visit, even on the Saturday, for the ticket.
How was she supposed to get the tickets?
She come to my house, and that's it.
Okay, $715, judgment for the plaintiff. I think you're full of baloney.
This court is adjourned.
I thought that was really fair. I mean, when you enter a verbal contract with someone, you expect them to uphold their side of the deal. If they don't, then they have to give you your money back.
That's her problem, not mine. And I give something just out of fact by kindness. She would just take that. Asia wasn't the bad person on that.
That same night, he had indicated that he felt really bad, yada, yada, yada. And we thought, hey, it's legit. We're going to get our money back that night. And he's like, oh, let's meet up at this club or at this, it was a restaurant, then club. And it was.
I wouldn't be partying with somebody that just screwed me out of tickets.
Exactly.
Doesn't make sense. It's like if somebody screws you out of money, you going to go party with them? Highly doubtful.
It doesn't matter. That wasn't part of the deal. The deal was concert tickets for this amount of money. No concert tickets, I get my money back. Plain and simple.
Yes, over. For a favor for friends, yeah.
So we're having this discussion, you and I interpreted that sentence as he waited for them at the concert to give them the tickets. You point out that that sentence could also be interpreted, I waited at my house for them to come and pick up the tickets. Either way, Sarah, the right thing to do is if you've got $1,000 of somebody's money, because there's no question that this guy took a vig for himself, and if they don't come, and if your friend is a friend of hers, then you call at 5 o'clock at night and say, you know, I have your tickets here. Yeah. Where are you? He doesn't. The next day, he calls his friend and says, you got the dates mixed up. Yeah. Instead of calling at 4 o'clock. So either way, to me, it doesn't make any difference.
I agree with your final ruling. If he was sitting on the $1,000 that he had and tickets that he knew were for the wrong day, the friend deserved to call that day in the morning.
Or maybe he didn't have any.
Or maybe he didn't have any tickets. I'm not disagreeing. I just think that one point you hung your hat on about either being at the concert or being at home was sort of a minuscule point if he didn't have the tickets at all.
Yeah, and I don't think he had the tickets at all.
I agree.
If he did have the tickets, one way or another, he would have called their mutual friend and said, you know, I have these tickets here. They're $1,000. They're $1,000 worth of tickets. It's a good excuse to say they wanted to come for the.
Catherine Smallwood is suing her neighbor, Nathan Moon, for vet bills from a dog attack.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2034, Smallwood versus Moon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Smallwood, you and the defendant are neighbors.
Yes.
You probably share a common area either in the front or the back. You have small dogs. I think you have a large dog or two.
And two of them, yes, ma'am.
Hmm?
Yes, ma'am, two of them.
And it is your claim that one of his dogs attacked your dog on your property. The dog was injured. You want the defendant to be responsible for the vet bills that you had for your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been neighbors?
I've been living in the neighborhood for 23 years.
And what about you, sir?
2.
Do you own your own home?
Yes, ma'am.
And you?
I rent it.
Are you familiar with Mr. Moon's dogs?
Not at all, sir.
Have you ever seen them before?
No, ma'am.
You mean in the 2 years that he's been there, prior to this incident, you've never seen his dogs?
They live in a back cul-de-sac from where I am.
Do you have adjacent property?
No, ma'am. He lives maybe about, I want to say almost a mile.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct, sir?
I guess so. I don't know exactly where her house is either.
Well, so you don't have adjacent property.
We just live in the same neighborhood.
How did your dog get out? Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am. So the one.
Try to speak up.
I guess it jumped over the fence.
What kind of a dog is it?
A pit mix.
On what day did it jump over the fence?
About 2 months ago from today.
Has it ever jumped over the fence before?
It has.
Then you don't have a big enough fence.
Well, she climbs the fence. It's not that she just hops over it. She actually literally climbs it.
Then you keep her inside. Then you keep her outside if she wants to be outside, and you keep her on a chain.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if you were aware of the fact that your dog can get out from over the fence, then the dog is not in your control.
Correct.
On what date was your dog injured?
May 10th.
Of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see the incident?
I didn't see it right away, but as I set the dogs out to use the bathroom, went back in the house, put some clothes on, heard a commotion, went back outside, and that's when I seen the first attack. And I yelled at the dogs, and they took off running down the street.
How many were there?
2.
Were they pit bulls?
Yes, ma'am. It's to my knowledge.
What color were they?
White.
Is that the color of your dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
And they were together? The two of them were together?
Yes, ma'am.
You say that was the first attack.
Right.
So your dog was okay?
Well, He was laying in the ground, and I ran and put clothes on. I yelled at him. The dogs took off running. I come back out to get him, but he's on the other side of the yard. I have a half acre, so he's literally on the other side of the yard.
Your dog or his dog?
My dog, after I seen the video. I wasn't sure how he got there, but the animal control say I don't have a case unless I have video. And I looked at the video.
Where did you have a camera? In your backyard?
In my front yard.
Do you have that video here?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Is that your yard?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's your dog, sir?
That's my little one, the black and white.
The little one is your dog, but the big one is his?
Yes, ma'am. Let's see there.
You understand what the problem is?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So why don't you, Mr. Moon, tell me what the problem is?
So I think she was there to prevent it, for one, so there's other videos too, but she came out, she shushed my dogs away, they ran off, and then she went back inside and left her dogs outside with no leash or fenced in.
That's in her property.
I went back.
How do I know what?
That's her property.
How do I know that's her? There's no property lines or nothing?
No, that's her property.
Okay, well.
That's her property. You live a half a mile away.
Her dog could have ran out of her yard. He was like halfway out in the yard or field or whatever that was. You know, I mean, her dog came out barking at my dogs. And if he really would have wanted to hurt the dog, then he could have killed the dog if he wanted to. I feel like he was more
Just a second,
more playing.
Just a second that's an interesting statement. He could have killed her dog if he wanted to.
Right.
That's an interesting statement. Did you see her dog? You know what kind of dog hers is?
No, I mean, it's a
little Schnurdiger.
Right.
Right? Little one, maybe 5 pounds, maybe 6.
3. 3 pounds.
Okay. You think that if her dog, and then you've got a little Pekingese?
That's Pomeranian.
Pomeranian.
Yeah.
She's got a little Pomeranian. Do you think that if those dogs got out from their fenced yard, like your dog, do you think if they came across your dogs, they could kill it? Or both of them? You think they could?
No.
Okay. Let's take it a step further, Mr. Moon, because you're not giving me the answers that I want to hear. So let's take it a step further. Do you think that if Miss Smallwood's 2 little dogs got out, like your dogs got out, and they came across a toddler playing in their backyard, do you think her 2 little dogs could kill the toddler?
Probably not.
Could yours?
Probably so.
Probably so. So do you think that you have a greater or a lesser responsibility as the owner of dogs that are capable of killing a human being? You think that you owe a lesser or a greater responsibility to society as a whole to make sure that those dogs are within your control all the time? You want to be a fool and own dogs that are capable of killing, you have to be responsible. Just as if you had a wild tiger, you wouldn't leave it out in the backyard in a fence that it could climb.
And later today.
Is that what they call it, installation?
Yes, ma'am.
Usually refer to furniture as an installation. I never knew that they referred to a wig as installation.
Catherine Smallwood claims her neighbor, Nathan Moon, owes for vet bills from a dog attack.
So you think that you owe a lesser or a greater responsibility to society as a whole to make sure that those dogs are within your control all the time?
Correct. Well, since then,
And what you told me, I'm still venting, because for those people in the world that decide that dangerous dog breeds, those dog breeds that have been deemed dangerous in every state in the United States, and insurance companies won't insure you if you have certain breeds of dogs, and yours are within that little group of dogs. Most insurance companies, unless you pay a very high premium, exclude injury from those dogs. So you understand that you have animals that are deemed dangerous, and you told me 5 minutes ago that your dogs are able to climb over the fence. And they've done it before this incident. Isn't that what you told me? I mean, I have my reporter here who can read it back. Isn't that what you told me?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you agree with me that your dogs are capable of causing death to a human being, and that your dogs have been able to get out from the enclosure that you prepared for them, then there is no question that you are responsible for any damage that your dogs do to another dog, to a child, to an adult. You want to be a fool and own dogs that are capable of killing, you have to be responsible. Just as if you had a wild tiger, you wouldn't leave it out in the backyard in a fence that it could climb, because if you did, you would be responsible if it ate 3 people. Do you know how many people pit bulls killed last year? They just killed another one in New York. A woman ate her. So you want to be a fool and have a dog like that, you're responsible for any injury it causes.
I also have pictures of the injury.
I'd like to see them. How much were your vet bills, Miss Smallwood?
The vet bill was $1,421.
And I'm going to tell you this, Mr. Moon. So there's no question you're responsible for her vet bills. No question. But because you told me that your dogs had gotten out before and you didn't remedy that situation, I'm tacking on another $1,000, which is what she's requesting. And while it's not for pain and suffering of the dog, because I'm precluded from giving you that kind of an award, it's a deterrence for people who have dogs that can kill, to keep those dogs under their control all the time. And if you don't want to do that, get a Pomeranian. We're done. $2,400. Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
Our dogs weren't on leash or in a fence either.
Well, I'm glad she understood the dangers of pit bulls.
She was just requesting the vet bills.
Glad she seen the case going my way.
I mean, she just wanted the money and said that her dog was injured.
Just hurts my heart still.
I wish I could have had more control over my dogs.
To see him, slung around like a rag.
Man, sorry.
Contain your animals.
Yeah, one thing you picked up on but didn't quite name it was that when he knew his dog was capable of climbing over his own fence that he had enclosed the dogs in, he was on notice from that point forward that his dogs were capable of getting out of the yard. He knew that they had potential to be dangerous dogs, and he chose not to do anything about it. And you can't claim anything was an accident after the point where you were put on notice. So I agreed completely with your judgment.
A, I'm glad you agree with me, and B, I'm glad that the money was well spent on your education.
Case number 2038, Stewart versus Thomas. All parties, please step forward.
Precious Stewart is suing hairstylist Karani Thomas for damages from a wig installation.
Ms. Stewart, you're complaining that the defendant who tried to restyle or reinstall a wig that you had recently purchased did a terrible job. And in addition to doing a terrible job, she tried to fix it, and then she didn't return it to you.
Exactly.
So you want the cost of the wig.
And the install.
And what?
And the install.
And the $200 that
yes,
you
ma'am.
charge you for the installation of the wig. Is that what they call it, installation?
Yes, ma'am.
Usually refer to furniture as an installation. I never knew that they referred to a wig as installation. Okay, you purchased this wig when?
I purchased a wig on February 12th.
Of what year?
2022.
Can I see the receipt?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you paid $697 for it?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you bought wigs from this particular outlet before?
Yes, ma'am.
That's not her outlet?
No, ma'am.
And did this outlet where you purchased the wigs from, did they also install it?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you install the wig that you purchased?
The first time that I installed it was March 3rd.
What did you do with it between the 12th and the 3rd?
You said between the 12th?
12th of February and March 3rd.
Well, she had it.
Who had it?
The lady
The
that
other
I purchased.
lady?
Yes.
What did she do with it?
She just held it in because she installed it for me the first time.
Not understanding me. You purchased it on February 12th?
Yes.
Did you use it or did you not use it between February 12th and March? Didn't use it. So the first time it was installed was March 3rd?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have other wigs?
Yes, ma'am.
That you use regularly? The first time it was installed, according to you, it didn't look right. And you thereafter contacted the defendant. Had you ever used her services before?
No, ma'am.
How did you know about her?
She did a fashion show with me and another girl before, and she was a model. That's how I was introduced to her before. We proceeded to follow each other over social media, so I was, watching her do hair and post her videos and stuff, so that's how
So you contacted her on what date to do a reinstall?
I believe it was...
It was
like
March.
March, no, it wasn't.
In the month of March?
Yes.
The same month that you had it initially installed?
It was the end of March.
But the same month?
Yes.
And you went to her home? Is that where she operates?
Yes,
I gather that you were in her home.
At the time, yes, she used to work inside a studio.
What I read in your complaint was when you left, you noticed that the installation had left certain, according to you, bald spots in the netting.
Yes, ma'am.
And you contacted the defendant.
Right away.
Do you remember that call, Ms. Thomas? You had a dissatisfied customer who wanted her money back.
Right.
What did you do with the wig? Because you now had the wig.
Right. I reconstructed the wig. So after we
What did you do with it?
She told me she sold it. Sorry.
I didn't ask you anything.
Precious Stewart claims hairstylist Karani Thomas did not properly install her wig and never returned it.
Okay. Do you remember that call, Ms. Thomas?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what she said to you when she called.
She said that specifically there were spots or gaps that she needed to be fixed. So I told her that she can come back the next day and we would fix whatever spots because she didn't send me a picture. So I just told her, go ahead, come back the next day.
But she did, in fact, pay you the $200 for installing the wig.
Her coming back the next day wasn't an extra charge.
Did she come back the next day?
No.
Do you know why?
She did not come back at the time that she was supposed to because she said that her carpets were getting clean and she forgot. I also have proof of that in messages.
I'd like to see it. Thank you. Okay, so it looks as if the day that you had set to go there, you kept stalling it because you had workmen in your house.
Yeah,
Is that right?
I have a
Yeah, that's a yes.
I had a maintenance man.
Yeah, that's yes. You had workmen in the house. She said, come. You had workmen in the house. And then you asked to come when her baby was sleeping. And she said, don't come when my baby is sleeping because the dogs will bark and wake up the baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's the only page that I have here.
Yes, Your Honor.
So when did she come back?
Afterward, that same night, I have another paper. She didn't come back, and then she sent me this text message letting me know that she got in contact with another hairstylist that's apparently a friend of hers, saying that...
No, I can read.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what you say in this text is that you showed the wig to somebody else.
Yes, Your Honor.
And they told you that it couldn't be fixed because too much was plucked away and whatever.
Too much of the lace was removed.
And you want a full refund and a wig replacement. And then you say, I hate this because you're a very sweet person, very talented. I'm not sure how we got here. I'm going to proceed with removing the wig from my head. I'll bring it to you so you can see if there's any saving possible. Thank you and sorry for the inconvenience. When did you do that?
The same day.
Okay, so you brought it to her.
No, I didn't bring it to her. I told her that the same day that I...
No, when did you bring it to her?
I brought it to her the next day.
Okay, so that was still the end of March, or was that the beginning of April?
I believe it was still the end of March.
It was March 26th.
So you brought it to her, and what happened?
I brought it to her. She said that she would try to fix it. She then proceeded trying to fix it. She sent me photos of what she tried to do, which wasn't really much of anything because it still looked bald, as I have a photo right here. Still looked the same way that it looked when she took it off. When she put it on. Also, I have these photos as well as what it looked like the next morning. Looked like it was disintegrating off my head. That's a proper install the next morning, a few hours.
Just looking.
Doesn't do that.
Okay. Okay. I see them. Would you show these to the defendant, please?
She's here. Yes, I have them.
You have them?
She sent that to my phone.
Okay, great. I'll take them back now. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome, Judge.
Okay. So you had a dissatisfied customer who wanted her money back.
Right.
What did you do with the wig? Because you now had the wig.
Right. I reconstructed the wig. So after
What did you do with it?
She told me she sold it. Sorry.
I didn't ask you anything.
Sorry.
What did you do with the wig?
It had been over 2 months since we had in contact with each other. I just got rid of it.
How did you get rid of it?
I threw it away.
Why?
Because I had spent money that went to waste and I replaced it. I couldn't do anything with it.
What do you mean replaced it?
I replaced the frontal that she said I made bald. So I spent my own money. I reconstructed it by putting a new frontal on the wig. I have messages of her agreeing, saying that the new work looked good, and she would not come pick the wig up because I wouldn't do another install on her head.
May I see those? I assume those text messages go into April and May.
Yes.
Okay. And so we're not that far away. And I would assume that the wig doesn't take up that much room in your house.
Well, she didn't come back until June.
It doesn't matter.
With the police.
What does that matter?
She said that she didn't want it anymore.
Good morning, Boo. I will be home tomorrow. Okay, I'll get back to you, take pictures of well. Okay. Well, in any event, you had no right to either give it away, sell it, throw it away until this matter was resolved. So you owe her first the $675 that you spent for the wig.
May I speak?
You can speak all you want, but you owe her the $675 that you spent for the wig. You had no right to throw it away.
Even with her saying that she didn't want it anymore?
I never said I didn't want it, though.
But you did. I have proof of that.
You said I did. I said I didn't want it.
Are you talking to each other? If you talk to each other, then I dismiss your case. Do you understand?
Sorry, Your Honor.
Bottom line. So if you have proof that she said to you, you can discard the wig, then I'll say, I don't want that wig anymore. You owe me for the wig because you ruined it. That's a different story than I don't want it anymore.
Okay. Can I?
Do you understand?
Can I find that?
Absolutely.
I don't know if what I'm trying to find is in the papers that you have or here. So I'm sorry if I'm taking long. I'm reading.
I don't see anything in the papers that I have here that says you can get rid of it.
Okay, I do. I have it. Well, it doesn't say get rid of it, but it does say you can keep the wig and give me my $700 then.
Oh, yeah. I can understand that. So did you give her money? You kept it?
No.
You kept it?
I did not.
Did you give her money?
No, I did not.
Well, then you owe her $697 for the wig and the other $200 that she paid you, which I believe she did for the install. Judgment for the plaintiff, $897. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
I think she made the right decision.
I feel like the judge made the wrong decision.
I was trying to let things die down, maybe a civil person.
We both came to an agreement that I would reconstruct the unit.
It would have been like, hey, it doesn't belong to me, let me just give it back.
The problem was that she wouldn't come back and pick it up because I wouldn't install her hair again.
Just give me my wig back. And she told me no.
I felt I didn't owe her any money.
I don't got the wig, but I'm getting my money back.
Simple,
Yeah.
easy. You can't throw away somebody's property.
Yep.
The only thing that I was amazed at in the complaint, Sarah, is that she sat there for 5.5 hours while she had this wig installed.
Yeah. Beauty is pain.
I cannot imagine sitting someplace 5.5 hours without leaving with a baby or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
the things women do for beauty.
Rodriguez is suing his former tenant, Samuel Gastelum, for an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2035, Rodriguez versus Gastelum.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
what kind of a premises do you live in, sir?
It's a 4-bedroom house.
And I see here that you rent out some of the rooms in order to assist with your mortgage.
That's correct.
How many rooms do you rent out?
3.
And who lives in the other?
Right now it's Kathleen Meister, and then I have 2 other roommates.
And you use one room?
Correct.
When did you rent a room to the defendant?
It was January 22.
And what was the rent that you were charging him?
$750 a month.
When he came to you, did he have a dog?
No.
When did you move in?
About late January.
Give me a day.
22nd.
And you moved in alone?
Yes, ma'am.
Paid your rent on time?
Yes, ma'am.
February, paid your rent on time?
Yes, ma'am.
Lived there alone?
Yes, ma'am.
What about March?
Did I live there alone in March also? Yes, ma'am.
When did you get a dog?
I've had my dog
No, when did you get a dog that you brought into the house?
April 22nd, 23rd.
So several months after you moved in. Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
And before you moved the dog in, did you have a discussion with the plaintiff?
Yes, ma'am.
Just prior to moving in with the dog. And what was the discussion that you had with the plaintiff?
That if it was okay if I were to bring my dog that I had in Alaska, since I've had him since he was about 6-7 weeks.
And where had he been in the last 2 months?
He was still in Alaska, staying with close friends, and I flew to Seattle, shipped my truck and all my belongings to Seattle, and drove here. From Seattle, my dog, the person who was watching him, drove from Alaska to Montana, and had gone to Montana to pick him up.
So you asked Mr. Rodriguez if it was okay if you brought your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And what did he say?
Yes.
Did he say anything else?
He said, just clean
Now
up.
look at me.
He said,
Did he say anything else
clean
other
up
than
after the dog, make sure that the dogs don't fight, and just take care of him.
Okay. Nothing about him staying out of the house?
He said he wouldn't prefer him to be around the house, but he would not. It would be okay for him to be in my room.
In your room?
Mm-hmm. The dog stayed with me in that room a few nights, and he knowingly knew about it.
No, I don't want to know what he knew. I want to know what your arrangement was. So your arrangement with him, according to you, now, I haven't asked him, but according to you, is that you asked him if you could bring your dog. He said okay for the dog to stay outside, but could stay in your room.
He said he didn't want him in the living area. My dog could also be in the garage or
in your room. And was everything okay in April when you brought the dog?
Yeah, everything was
What
fine.
about May?
May, I was looking for a new place. I was homeless because I had spent 5 days in jail.
Oh, I'm talking about before you went to jail, sir. Before you went to jail, because this case is about an assault, which is what the plaintiff is claiming. Plaintiff is claiming that you assaulted him in the home, and that took place on April 30th. That was shortly after your dog arrived.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the dog was the reason for the altercation.
Part of
because
the reason, but that's
in
not how it started.
February, March, and up until April, the end of April, when the dog was there, I see no evidence here that there was any difficulty.
You're right.
Fair statement? Yeah. So that the problem arose when the dog came. Now, this woman's name is Kathleen. She's interspersed in both the complaint and the answer in this case. She had a cat. Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
He had a cat. And it was a house cat.
Yes, ma'am.
Plaintiff has a dog.
A few dogs.
And they live in the house.
Yes, they stay in the garage and in the backyard, yes.
Garage and backyard, do they stay in the house?
They do not go inside that.
Okay, so his dogs stay outside, and he said to you, according to you, the dogs can stay outside in the garage and in your room.
Yes.
In April, did your dog get out of your room or into the house?
Yes.
Yes. On what date?
April 30th, because I was allowing him inside to go to my room.
On April 30th, the dog was where?
In the backyard, but I was bringing him inside to come to my room.
You were bringing him from outside to come into your room. I haven't asked him. He says in his papers that the dog was supposed to remain outside. You were bringing him inside to your room.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it is your claim here that it is an emotional support dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And you also had at least a couple of months where you left the dog in Alaska.
With
right?
people I trusted.
I don't care people who you trusted or not. If you needed an emotional support animal, the emotional support animal has to travel with you. So don't show me a certificate. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
By the way, did that certificate that you have come from a psychiatrist?
No.
No. Did it come from a psychologist?
No.
Did it come from any doctor who was treating you?
There was a doctor's note, yes.
Was a doctor who was treating you?
Yes.
Yes. Not a psychiatrist?
Not a psychiatrist, no.
Not a psychologist?
Not a psychologist.
And you took this note and you had to send it to somebody over the internet?
Yes.
And then they sent you a certificate?
Yes, and with an ID.
That's what I got. Okay, so now you're bringing the dog on April 30th from the backyard into the house, and?
He attempts to grab the dog.
No. Is the dog on a leash?
No, he's very well.
Just a second. Is the dog on a leash?
No.
Were you holding the dog by the collar?
Yes.
And now you're taking the dog from outside to inside. What did he say to you?
No dogs in the house.
Because that's what he had said to you before. You can have your dog, but no dogs in the house. I want to tell you something. That's what I believe. So he said no dogs in the house, and you said to him,
I'm going to bring my dog into my room.
But when you asked him if you could bring the dog to the house, there is no question in my mind that he said to you, bring the dog to the house, but the dog doesn't come into the house.
He stayed in my room a few nights prior to that.
I don't
He had
care.
already
Listen to me.
approved
That's what the arrangement was, sir.
Okay.
The arrangement was not what you told me before. The arrangement was with him, yes, you can bring the dog to the house. I will let you do that. But the dog has to stay either in the garage or outside like my dogs.
Okay.
And you said, in effect, screw you. I'm bringing my dog, and I'm bringing my dog into my room.
In effect.
You're the tenant. That was the agreement. You can have the dog, but the dog must not be in the house. That's what your landlord told you. You brought the dog from Alaska, and at the very beginning, you brought the dog into your room.
Mm-hmm.
When had you decided that you were going to breach the agreement with him?
The very first night I went to receive my dog, he stayed at the house inside my room with me.
So the very first night that you brought him, you decided to breach the agreement that
He
you
had
had.
knowingly said it was okay.
Did you tell him it was okay?
Never. I have texts.
I'd like to see it.
I have to scroll back.
Scroll
quite
to
a
wherever
while.
you have to scroll. Scroll down to the creation. I don't care. I have all day here. Nobody is hungry.
I'm a
Still
little
have
hungry.
2 more cases to do before lunch. Everybody gets a little testy, including me.
I don't have the text. I do not have the text.
Yeah, good. That's what I thought. Okay. It wasn't on the 30th that the dog got loose in the house. It was sometime before that, maybe a day or so before that. On the 30th was a day, sir, that you got locked out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh
Yes,
is
Your
not
Honor.
an answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And what time of the day was it that you got locked out of the house?
2 o'clock, middle afternoon, late afternoon.
And according to what I read, you went to the back of the house to let yourself into the house, and you got into an altercation with Kathleen. Absolutely, she shouldn't have put her hands on and slapped you because you were fresh. Because you wouldn't be fresh to me, right?
Fresh?
Fresh. That's what you say to a child. Fresh. How old are you?
65.
How old are you?
25.
That's fresh.
Armando Rodriguez claims his former tenant, Samuel Gastelum, is responsible for damages from an assault. Samuel says he was the one assaulted and falsely arrested.
Now, you got into an altercation with Kathleen.
Not quite, Your Honor.
Well, tell me what happened.
I had been outside, I went out the garage, and I was playing a time-sensitive game on my Xbox. So I was going back to the room, and I knocked on the garage door. No one answered, knocked on it a few times, pounded. Then I went back around and knocked on the sliding glass door a few times, one of the few times. Finally, Kathleen comes up and answers the door. At that point, I've been out there for about 10 minutes. So I'm upset. I'm like, who locked me out? Who locked the door? She gets completely defensive. She says, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. And I'm like, I'm asking who it was, because Armando and I had discussed.
Because you're on a time-sensitive
Yes, ma'am.
video game.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
So you were on a time-sensitive video game.
Something time
How old are you?
25 years old.
Okay, so now you're on a time-sensitive video game and somebody either on purpose or accidentally locked the door, and you think it's Kathleen.
No, I did not accuse anyone. I just asked was who locked me out, because I had been locked out earlier that week, again, earlier by Armando.
Just a second. Did you have a key to the house?
On my...
No. Did you have...
I had a front door key, not to the garage door, not to the sliding door.
But you had a front door key.
Yes, Your Honor, but there's a gate. There's a big fence, and I didn't have a key to the gate that was locked.
You couldn't get into the house, even with your front door key.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, after you had a conversation with her, there was no physicality between the two of you.
Not at that moment. But once Armando came around the corner, he's like, it was me who locked you out. So me and him...
Now, just a second. He said, it was me that locked you out.
Mm-hmm.
Did he say he did that on purpose, or was
it was an accident, is what
did he
said.
say? Okay, so he said it was me that locked you out. It was an accident.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't the first time.
It's not.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's yes. First, second, I've locked my children out of the house many times. Sometimes on purpose.
I'm not his
sometimes
child.
by accident.
I'm his roommate.
It doesn't make any difference. So he said to you, it was an accident, and you said to him,
it's happened before.
And he said to you,
those were accidents also.
Okay, and he said those were accidents also.
Yes.
And you said to him...
I said you need to be more attentive, more aware, if someone had just walked out and left the door unlocked, you should probably go and see if anyone's out there before you turn around and lock the door.
And he said?
He said he apologized.
So he said, I apologize.
Yes.
Okay, what's next?
Throughout that whole conversation, me and him are arguing
Okay,
back and
but
forth.
at the end, he said, I'm sorry. He said, I apologize.
It's not so clear-cut.
Well, it's at the end of this back and forth. You should have been more careful. You should look to see who's at the door. You've done it before. I'm sorry. It was an accident. I apologize. Now I haven't apologized. And
in
next.
the middle of that altercation, Kathleen kept butting in. She said, you don't talk to me like that. You don't talk to me like that. I said, I wasn't even talking to you. I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm talking to Armando. I said, mind your own business. She said, oh, you don't tell me what to do. You don't tell me what to do. I said, mind your own business. She said, say that to me one more time. I said, mind your own business. She walks across the hall and she slaps me across the face, and Armando grabs her hand right after she smacks me. And instead of retaliating aggressively or any type of thing, I call the police. Immediately call the police. And while we're waiting there for the police, that's when I get the apology from Armando. That's when he's like, okay, let's make a deal. Let's try to work this out before the police get there. The police get there, they ask me what had happened.
And you say that this older woman slapped you because you were fresh.
The face.
Because you were fresh.
No, because
she shouldn't have put her hands on and slapped you because you were fresh. Because you wouldn't be fresh to me, right?
Fresh?
Fresh. That's what you say to a child. Fresh. You were being fresh. And she should not have put her hands on you. Would I have called the police about that? Maybe.
Except I am not a child, Your
just
Honor.
a sec.
I'm not a child. I'm not related to these people.
I just said to you, you were being fresh. How old are you?
65.
How old are you?
25.
That's fresh. That's fresh, because first you accused her of locking you out.
I didn't accuse her.
Yeah. Okay. So after she slapped you, the police arrived. They left. She said, she slapped you. Yes. You have marks. You have cuts. You have bruises. You have abrasions. No. They left.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what did you expect when you called the police for them to arrest her? What did you want them to do, sir?
Was I supposed to retaliate? How was I supposed to retaliate? Was I supposed to hit her back?
Just a second. No.
Okay, then what was I supposed to do?
I'm not telling you what to do.
Okay.
I'm just asking you, sir, did you expect them, when you called the police, to arrest Kathleen because she slapped you?
No, I expected there to be consequences for her assaulting me.
What? So
I don't
what
know what
did
the
you think?
consequences
So
were.
what did you think that they should do?
Whatever they feel was right. Whatever is justice.
Okay. Now let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
So now the police are gone, and
I go speak to Armando. I asked why he sacrificed his integrity for lying for Kathleen, for saying that she didn't slap him, because he told the police he witnessed no such event. He didn't see nothing, even though he was standing right there, grabbed her hand. Kathleen says she didn't do it, and the police came up to me before they left. They said, they're telling me something else. I just don't believe you. I just like, okay, well, what else can I do? I go to Armando, and I'm like, why would you sacrifice your integrity? Why would you lie to the police? Why would you let another roommate physically assault me? And just no consequences whatsoever. And at that point is when I tried to bring my dog inside and just go straight to my room.
Just a second. So at that time, after this hot spot is over,
it got heated again.
Got heated again.
Mm-hmm.
Your reaction was childish, and you said, I'm going to get my dog that I was told not to bring in the house, and I'm going to bring my dog in the house.
I was going to my...
Just a second. I don't care if you were going to Pluto. Your reaction after this was, they can't tell me what to do. I'm going outside and I'm going to bring my dog inside. He'll let you bring the dog to the house, but the dog can't come in the house, stays outside with his dogs. There's only one animal in the house, and that's Kathleen's house cat. That's it. So you went to bring your dog from outside to in the house.
Yes, Your Honor.
In violation of the agreement that you had with your landlord. After the police had come, I just want you to realize what's going on.
Oh,
I just want you to realize that they don't actually keep me here because I'm 5'6" and gorgeous. I understand what happened when you were disappointed that Kathleen had slapped you like a child because you were fresh. And she's not your mother, and she had no right, even your mother doesn't have a right to put their hands on you.
Correct.
But you got slapped, not injured, no broken jaw, no broken skin. Police didn't see anything, because if they did, they would have arrested somebody. And they left. And you were royally miffed. Because you got locked out of the house, for which you apologized, you missed your time-sensitive video game. Now, I'm not sure what that is, because I'm not a 25-year-old idiot that plays video games during the day.
Armando Rodriguez is accusing his former roommate, Samuel Gastelum, of breaking their rental agreement and assaulting him. Samuel claims he was falsely arrested after Armando lied to the police.
Now, several things that happened that day, right? You got locked out and you were playing a time-sensitive video game.
Yes, Your Honor.
And because you got locked out of the house, for which he apologized, you missed your time-sensitive video game. Now, I'm not sure what that is, because I'm not a 25-year-old idiot that plays video games during the day. When I was 25 years old, I actually worked. I did, I actually worked. I know that may seem foreign to you, but I did actually work. And so after all of this altercation took place, you said, now I'm going to show him. Now I'm going to bring my dog into the house. And then there was another altercation. Second one.
Yes.
That's the one we're talking about. By the way, maybe I'm being terribly unkind to you, sir. How do you support yourself?
I work.
For whom?
Pretty foreign, I know.
For whom?
I'm a cultivator.
You work 5 days a week?
Yes, Your Honor. And in my free time,
What do you
I like to
cultivate?
play video
What do you
games.
what do you cultivate?
Marijuana, cannabis.
How long have you worked for them?
Since March, so about 5 months.
Prior to that, you were in Alaska.
Prior to January, I was in Alaska. Before March, before getting the job at the cultivation facility for cannabis, I was helping my uncles do concrete. So working isn't very foreign to me, as you might see.
Prior to March, you were working with your uncles in concrete.
Yes,
Where?
Your Honor. In Victorville, in California.
You were working, you were working for your uncle prior to March, getting a job as a cultivator. And what I want to know is, how long had you been separated from your emotional support dog?
I spent 4 months away from him, and those 4 months were from January to April. For finding a
January,
job.
February, March, April. And what were you doing in Alaska?
I was born and raised in Alaska.
Alaska is not a born, that's not a job, sir. What were you doing in Alaska?
I was, for the last 6 months of my time in Alaska, I was a bud tender.
Okay, tell me what happened after the dog incident.
Well, the dog comes in. He says that he's not going to follow house rules anymore. He says as of right now, he's going to do what he wants to do. So he just gets the dog from the backyard and he comes inside the house. And I feel that it's my responsibility to enforce the house rules. So I physically grab his dog and I move the dog from inside the house to the backyard. That happens once. He gets the dog and then he physically puts him back in the house.
Where in the house?
This is, you could say, the kitchen area. So now I basically attempt to repeat what I did the first time. So I physically grab the dog a second time, and I'm now physically taking him out, at which point he gets from behind me, and he puts me into a chokehold, and I black out. I come to, I look for my phone, I find my phone, dial 911, police show up like in maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm still trying to get...
And that's the assault that you are referring to today. Did the EMS check you out?
I was taken to the hospital.
May I see the report?
Yeah, I got a report, and then I have the bills associated with with.
Was Kathleen a witness to this?
She saw.
No, don't tell me what she saw. Was she a witness to any part of that?
Yeah,
Yes or no?
yeah.
Okay. Would you step up, please? Tell me at what point you came in on this altercation.
When they were arguing about the dog.
The first time or the second time? Or you don't know whether...
I don't really know.
Were you a witness to any of the physical confrontation that resulted in Mr. Rodriguez going to the hospital?
I knew that they...
Don't tell me what you knew.
Okay.
It's what you saw.
Okay, what I saw was Armando trying to put the dog back outside, because he's a big pit bull, right? And then he would put him out, and then Samuel would bring him back in. And then the last time, Armando was putting him back outside, and Samuel came behind Armando. And what I did was I left and went and called the police, because I was afraid he was going to get hurt.
All right, sir. Now tell me your version of those events.
Could I show her statement from the previous court?
No, I want you to first tell me your version of the events.
So I let Apollo inside. My dog's name is Apollo, and he's going to grab Apollo to let him out. And we're both kind of grabbing Apollo, pulling him, we're both kind of fighting over him a little bit. As I'm pulling him inside more, Armando starts grabbing me. And so we get into this altercation, and we're like wrestling back and forth.
Just a second. He's trying to get your pit bull outside, and at the same time, he's grabbing you? Is that the...
No, it was, we were both grabbing the dog.
So you were trying to keep the dog inside, and he was trying to put the dog outside?
I was trying to take him to my room, yes. Take him.
You were trying to take him to your room. He was trying to put him outside.
Yes.
And?
As we're both kind of fighting for the dog, he grabs me. He lets go of the dog and then grabs me.
How did he grab you?
he grabs me by the arm, and then he like starts tugging a little bit. And so we're wrestling. We just start wrestling, and it gets a little bit more violent. And I go to restrain him, and he's hitting me. He's hitting me from with his arms. He's trying to scratch me, and I just restrained him until I felt not threatened no more. I released him. I get up. I grab my dog. I go to the room. I call the police.
Mm-hmm. Do you have your medical records that day?
They would not take me. They didn't.
Not they would not take you. Do you have your medical records for that day?
I have my arrest report that says apparently they didn't.
May I see the arrest report, please?
They refused to take pictures.
Don't tell me what they didn't do. I can read. Do you have medical insurance, sir?
No.
None. Okay, so you had an emergency room CT scan that was $8,640.62. The other bill for that day was for radiology, which was $518. This is the emergency room, which was $1,109. Okay, well, that takes us over this court's limit jurisdictionally. Now, you, sir, subsequently had a hearing with regard to this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you testify, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you testify, sir?
I did.
At the end of that hearing, was there a restraining order granted or not?
It was granted.
For how long? Do you have a copy of that?
I have a copy.
It was a year.
So a judge, like me, probably not as good looking, after hearing, so I don't have to hear it, all of the evidence, the judge found that there was more evidence than not that you assaulted the plaintiff and granted the plaintiff an order of protection for 1 year. After that happened, you were still in the house.
After the assault or after the hearing?
After the assault.
After the assault, I was arrested and
then you came back to the house.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what I asked. You were still in the house, but
Yeah.
you're no longer in the house.
No.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
He's a liar, and I told the truth, and I won the case.
I didn't aggressively attack him.
That was the rules that I had set. My dogs don't even come in the house.
I defended myself and my dog.
I think there was some genuine confusion on the defendant's behalf about the term fresh.
When I said to him, you were fresh to an older person?
Exactly. You know, he had a little bit of an attitude, a little young gun attitude, and the older woman did not appreciate it. So I am very familiar with the term fresh, but I think he was a little confused, but 100% fits the definition of fresh.
It was interesting. The other thing was I didn't seem appalled at the fact that he was doing time-sensitive video games, because I actually understand that from some of our grandchildren.
They take the games very seriously.
Very seriously.
And I could see how missing out on a time-sensitive game could raise an even heated moment even hotter. So.
Especially someone who needs an emotion.
Is suing her former friend, James Sorensen, for personal training and a fraudulent investment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2125, Anderton versus Sorensen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Anderton, your case against the defendant is twofold. First, you claim a loan to him in the amount of $10,000. And while he doesn't deny that you gave him $10,000, it is his defense that this was not a loan, but an investment in a project that went south. It went south because somebody conned him, and thus you were conned as well. Somebody took off with the money. The second part of your lawsuit is that Mr. Sorensen is a trainer of some sort, a personal trainer, fitness trainer, and you retained him to put you on some sort of a regimen of both diet and exercise. And you paid him in advance. He wasn't forthcoming with all of the training sessions he was supposed to give you, became unavailable. You want a refund of some of that money. So the first thing I'm going to deal with in your lawsuit is the $10,000 exchange of money. If I find that that, in fact, was a loan or was fraudulently entered into as a result of being duped and being a dope, then I'm going to give you back the money. Then I don't have to get to the training because that's the limit of my jurisdiction. Do you understand?
I understand.
Okay, great. How did you meet him?
I met him on a dating site, actually.
When?
Early June 2021.
Did you date?
We befriended each other. And after our first meeting, that is when I had just come off of a ventilator of 10 days. I was a nurse, contracted COVID. He actually came to my home and said, I could really help you get back to where you were. I needed rehab.
Okay, so after the first meeting, you were not dating?
No.
Is that right, sir?
That's correct.
And that was in June of 2021?
Yes.
When did you, Mr. Sorensen, tell Ms. Anderton about this investment opportunity?
It was about a month into.
So 4 weeks later?
Right.
4 weeks later, you became close enough to discuss with her a business opportunity?
Yes.
And did you discuss this business opportunity with her in her home or over the phone?
In her home.
So I want you to tell me your version of exactly what you told her.
So I had a friend come to me, and
You had a friend whose name is?
his name is Scott.
Scott what?
I can't remember his last name.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
If it's true, then it didn't happen. If it's true that you can't remember his last name, it's because he doesn't exist.
Oh, he does exist.
Oh, sir, you didn't give all that money to somebody whose last name you don't know. I want you to understand that. Then you're looking at me and saying I must have stupid written on my forehead. You don't look like a stupid man.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, you look like you could be a cunning man, but you don't look like a stupid man. So if Scott doesn't have a last name, he didn't exist. I want you to tell me that's in my brain. In my brain is if you can't come up with a first and last name of somebody that you gave thousands of dollars to, he didn't exist.
Okay, in your mind.
Keep going.
I'm not going to keep going and dig any holes. I'm just telling you what the facts are.
No, those aren't facts, sir. That's a fantasy. You know, you're not mentally challenged in any way, are you?
No.
I want to tell you, if I told my 9-year-old grandchild who asked me for $100 because she wanted to invest it with a friend, I would say, what's the friend's name? I don't know. See, I'm not giving you $100 to invest with somebody whose name you don't know, because I'm absolutely positive that if you said that to her, she would have said, well, what's this person's name? I want you to tell me now, Mr. Sorensen, what was the investment?
It was for Happy Pills.
It was for what?
Happy Pills?
Don't look at me.
Happy? Did you say Happy Pills?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about it. Tell me what you told her. You want to invest in Happy Pills. And
Yes.
what she'd say to you? She'd say to you, I'm a nurse, you know, so I'm an educated person. What's wrong with you? Okay, keep going. Keep going. I want to invest in Happy Pills.
Right.
Your friend Scott.
It was a friend of a friend. His name was Scott. Okay, and he introduced me to him and said that, hey, he went.
No, you mean Scott introduced you to somebody else?
No, my friend introduced me to Scott. I didn't know his last name, but we knew that he was in the industry.
Okay, so your friend introduced you to Scott.
Yes.
What's your friend's name?
His name is John. I promise.
Where does he live?
He lives in Salt Lake.
What's his telephone number?
I have no idea what his telephone number is.
Just a second, get out your phone and tell me what your friend's telephone number is. Everybody has their friend's number in their phone.
I don't know what his telephone number is.
Then you see why I don't believe you, sir? Do you understand why I'm having a problem with your story?
It's okay.
Do you understand why I'm having? So a friend whose number you don't have in your phone wanted to introduce you to somebody whose name you don't know to invest in Happy Pills. And this is what you told her? No, I'm asking you a question. Is this what you told her? I have a friend.
This is what I told her.
John, I have a friend, John, who knows a guy, Scott, who has this company that's going to make Happy Pills. I just want to know if that's what you're trying to tell me that you told this woman.
I am. It's okay. I don't know why she would make up that story that my parents gave me.
No. She's not making up the story. You're making up the story.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong about this, I actually don't feel badly, sir, because then you're the dope that got duped.
And later today.
You devalued her car while you had it.
Yeah, okay.
You used the car for 2.5 years that was running. It stopped running because the engine was blown.
Yes.
And then you stopped making the payments on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jennifer Anderton claims her former friend, James Sorensen, owes her for a fake $10,000 investment.
Okay, keep going.
You know what Happy Pills are?
I assume that they make you happy.
Right. Yeah, they are. It's Molly.
I assume that they make you happy.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. And so he went around to festivals and he sold Molly there.
He sold what?
Molly.
Molly's.
MDMA. It's an illegal drug.
Oh, Okay, so you told her you wanted her to make an investment with you with a big return on your money.
We talked about this for a long time.
Who did?
Me and...
You couldn't have talked about it for a long time, sir. You only knew her 4 weeks.
Okay.
You only knew her 4 weeks. Tell me about this $10,000. Did you take it out of a savings account? Do you have that from the bank?
Yeah.
I'd like to take a look at it. You want to tell me, Miss Anderson, the circumstances surrounding you transferring $10,000 to him?
He approached me saying that he needed a hard money loan for his business. He had an e-commerce business with supplements. His father and mother had given him the loans in the past, for the past 5 years, and they've gotten a good return. It was a for sure deal. He goes around, and this is their festival project time. They make a lot of money doing this.
What does he do?
For supplements.
So he sells supplements?
Yes.
And it was his business? Mm-hmm. That's yes. Did he ever mention a guy, Scott, to you?
No.
It was his business?
Yes.
And he said that his parents had helped him out in the past, had invested with him in the past. So now I understand a little bit better. I see the withdrawal for $10,000. So tell me why he needed a hard money loan.
To buy the product to take to these festivals and...
Sell them.
Sell them, yes.
Okay.
So he needed it for product.
And when did he tell you that he was going to return this money?
Within a week or two. That it was a week or two of festivals. This was the busy season. He does this every year, and this is a for sure return. And if I did this much amount of money, $5,000, this is how much I'd get back. If I did $10,000, it would be a $15,000 return for me. And I'm like, wow, I could pay off my student loans. I could, yes, do a lot with that.
Okay, so to synthesize what you told me, he told you that this was an investment in his company.
A loan.
A loan, excuse me. A loan for his company for products so that he could go out, sell them for the next several weeks,
Correct.
and you would get a return of 15% on your money.
50%. So a 10...
50? 50? Sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the company.
The Venmo transfer of $2,000 was to him in June?
June 16th of 21.
And a withdrawal of $8,000.
Same day.
Okay. Now, where did you put that money, sir?
I gave it to Scott.
Okay. Okay. I want to tell you, Mr. Sorensen, you have parents who gave you money?
They have in the
Just a
past,
second.
not as you
just
would
say,
say.
you have parents that gave you money.
They did not ever give me money for my business, ever.
What did they give you money for?
Christmas? They never financed for me for anything in my life. Okay. Nothing.
Oh, then you lied about
I don't know why she would make up that story that my parents gave me.
No. She's not making up the story. You're making up the story.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong about this, I actually don't feel badly, sir, because then you're the dope that got duped.
Oh, absolutely. I know.
Just a second. That if you gave money to John, to Scott, then you're the dope that got duped because they were your friends. That's all I have to tell you.
I understand.
That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I think it was fair.
I think that was a fair judgment.
We both understood what we were getting into.
No, not until after like 3 or 4 months, and I think he brought that up in fear of me going to the police.
Time to part ways, and definitely learning curves on both ends.
Don't do silly things. It was definitely a learning curve.
I'm glad that things happened the way they did.
Something I'll never do again. Be a little more careful with your money and your investments, and don't trust everybody. I'm too trusting.
I just find it very funny that his entire business venture, was selling illegal drugs at festivals. That was the only plan. That was the whole venture. There was no...
That's really what he said.
Whether it was Scott, whether it was John, whether it was
But that
Joe.
was the business plan. That's Happy Pills. Thank you, by the way, for explaining what that was to me.
I didn't understand at first either, but when he said Molly at festivals, it's like, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. I'm pretty sure that's not a business.
Right.
So I'm glad she got her money back.
Me too. Me too. It was ridiculous.
There was a couple dopes getting duped in that situation.
You're absolutely right.
Case 2107, Breland versus Chenal. All parties, please step forward.
Kashana and Michael Breland are suing Kashana's stepdad, Harry Schnall, for car repairs and damage credit.
Miss Breland, this is your stepfather.
Yes.
That's your dad.
Yes.
This is your claim. He needed a car because his car, which was an old Cadillac, was going in for repair. Your dad had bought you a car in 2018.
Yes.
And when he bought you this car in 2018, it was a 2013 car that you kept 18, 19, and 20?
The vehicle? No, I had the vehicle from 2018 to July 2019.
So just for 1 year?
Yep, July in 2019 was when I made the agreement to give the vehicle to...
Okay. You made the agreement to give it to your stepfather with a proviso because you were buying a new car, another car.
Yes.
According to you, that he would take over the payments on the car because there was a loan on the car that you were paying off and that your father was a signatory on.
Yes.
And you have children, and I don't know why this car was no good for you anymore, but you said you got another car because of your children.
Yes, I got another vehicle because I had an additional son, and it just wasn't enough room for 3 kids.
What kind of car is it?
It was a GMC Terrain. It's an SUV 5-passenger, but I felt like I needed a little bit more room, so I ended up getting a 7-passenger. That way I could have the 3rd row.
Okay. So according to you, the arrangement was he would take over the payments on the car, and the car would be turned over to him as soon as he finished making the payments on the car.
Yes.
Was that your agreement with him?
Yes, that was our agreement.
And he did make payments on the car in 2019, 2020, 2021, and according to you, he stopped making payments in 2022. What month in 2022?
January 2022 was the last payment I received.
As a result of which, both of your credits were at risk. He dropped the car off at some relative's house because the engine was blown. He had it towed to some relative's house and stopped making the payments.
Yes, that is correct.
Your stepfather says, well, that really wasn't the agreement. My Cadillac wasn't working. It was in the shop in 2019. And the agreement was, while the car was in the shop, I would use your car and pay you $225 a month for it. But as soon as my car was out of the shop, you would take the car back. That's what you say, sir.
Yes. Yeah, I would take it back until my car got fixed. And the only reason it took so long to get fixed because of the pandemic, you know. And
why? People couldn't go into their garage to fix a car?
Yes, they probably could, but at that time, I really didn't have the money to go and pay for it, so I just...
Well, that's your problem.
I understand that.
Well, that's your problem. So the car was fixed, but you didn't have the money to go and pick up the car.
No, it wasn't fixed.
Oh.
So I didn't have them fixed until I'd be able to get the money to go have it fixed.
Did you explain that to her, sir, when she gave you the car?
No. See, my agreement thought I was going to keep the car until my car gets fixed and I would make the monthly payment. That's what I had.
I understand that, but what... Yeah. I understand that.
Okay.
Mr. Chenal.
Yes.
But taking your story, if my stepfather said to me, listen, I'll take your car, I have a car that's in the shop, I'll use it and pay for it while the car's being fixed.
Not what?
In my view, that would be, well, maybe it would take you 2 weeks. Maybe it would take you a month. Maybe it would take you 2 months. But it wouldn't take you 3 years.
Your Honor, what I'm saying, my car wasn't in the shop, my car was broke down. And I told her, I thought we had agreement to me make the payment on that car till I get ready to get
you told me that already.
Car fixed, but I didn't put it in the shop till I was able to put it in the shop to get fixed.
You devalued her car while you had it.
Yeah, okay.
You devalued the car. You got a car that was running. You used the car for 2.5 years that was running. It stopped running because the engine was blown.
Yes.
So it was dead stop. You had to have it towed to somebody's house.
Yes.
And then you stopped making the payments on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
Right.
I think she had a lemon because...
She didn't have a lemon. You drove it for 2 years.
Yes, but I just had got the oil changed in that car a month before the engine blew.
And you drove it for 2 years.
Yes.
Well, then it wasn't a lemon.
Kashana and Michael Breland claim Kashana's stepdad, Harry Schnall, owes for car repairs and damage credit.
Now, you know, you have to act not only responsibly, but it would seem to me morally. This is your stepdaughter. You've known her for a long time.
Yes.
She went out, based upon her agreement with you, she went out and bought another car.
Yes.
Does the other car have a loan?
Yes.
Well, now she's stuck with 2 loans, and one of them has a car that you blew the engine on.
I made sure the main was up on that car. I think she had a lemon because...
She didn't have a lemon. You drove it for 2 years.
Yes, but I kept... Well, I just had got the oil changed in that car a month before the engine blew. I don't know why the engine blew.
How many years did you have the car?
2 years.
And you drove it for 2 years?
Yes.
Well, then it wasn't a lemon.
Okay.
How much was left on the loan of the car?
There is still $3,752.63 owed left on the vehicle.
Okay, and where is the car now?
It is parked at a relative's house.
Your problem is the car is in your name. So you have to sell the car, subject to this lien. You have to be able to get something for the car. Do you understand?
Yes.
What's the value of that car?
Based on 80,000 miles, it didn't say in the papers, but around 7,000 to 9,000.
And what if it's in very poor condition?
I have to look into it.
Take a look and see, because this car so far is not running.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been running for almost now a year.
Yes, that's correct.
So at best you can sell it for scrap. So you have to get the car and you can scrap it because nobody's going to buy it when they can't drive it.
So Kelley Blue Book will not provide an estimate for poor conditions, vehicles that are not running or in poor condition. But for a fair condition, they say between 5,000 and 6,000.
Well, this is non-running.
I know.
I've been not running for a year.
I can't get an estimate for a non-running vehicle from Kelley Blue Book.
So now I know what the parameters are. You want to tell me about where this agreement took place with your stepfather?
The agreement took place at the car lots, because I was in the middle of getting a new vehicle, so we were at the car lot.
So that was in 2019?
July 3rd, 2019.
So you went with him to get the new car?
Yes.
Oh, good. So tell me about the conversation.
So I asked him, I was like, hey, do you think that, because in order for me to get this new vehicle, they said that I had a debt to income ratio thing because I couldn't get a new vehicle with owing money on the other vehicle. So I said, hey, how does this sound? You're down a vehicle because the engine blew on your prior vehicle. How about I give you this car, you finish making the payments on it, and then I get my new vehicle. But in order for me to get my new vehicle, I needed a co-signer. So I said, how about this? How about you co-sign on this new vehicle for me? Yes, my stepfather. You co-sign on this new vehicle for me. I'll make the payments like I always do. And you just take over the payments on my GMC Terrain. He said, okay, yep, we can do that because I need another vehicle.
So he is the co-signatory on your new car?
That at the time, that was the vehicle that I had. I now have a different vehicle.
You mean in 2019 you had yet another car?
Yes. But I made sure that I paid it off and there was no effect to him by any means. Okay. Because I knew that, it wasn't just in my name, it was in his name also. So I didn't want to do that to him. So I made sure that not only did I pay the vehicle off, but I got the transmission repaired and then I sold it.
So what does your father have to do with this case?
So my father was affected because with the payments being late.
The car was in my name also.
Oh, so it was in joint names, you and your daughter.
Well, they were supposed to put it as me, the co-signer, but they put me as the
primary.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Have you been making the payments since January?
I was making payments on it from February to September.
And then what happened?
I couldn't afford to make the payments anymore. I'm a single mom of four kids.
So what happened?
So it's behind now.
Since September?
Yeah, it's behind since.
September, October, November. So it's behind 3 months.
Yes.
Had they notified you that they want to repossess it?
No,
they haven't
notified. Repo, they've given us options to try to save our credit after
Okay, I'd like to see what those options are. Did they send it to you in writing?
No.
Did they send you a letter?
No, it was verbal on the phone when they called, and we were discussing other options that they may offer to
Okay, so what was the
this so
best
it's not
option
worse.
that they offered you?
The best option that they offered was basically to come up with about $396 to pay to get the car note caught up because it was 4 months behind. The car note's $225 each month. So it wouldn't have got...
No, so they didn't offer you a whole payout. They just offered you...
To catch up.
To catch up.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. But still, what's due and owing on the car is $3,752.
Yes.
Okay. And when your stepfather agreed to that, did he say anything to you with regard to his Cadillac going in for service and he was going to just use it until his Cadillac got...
No, Your Honor, that is incorrect.
Okay. You remember going with your stepdaughter when she was purchasing a new car in 2019?
Yes, I do.
Did you co-sign that car for her?
Yes.
So far what she says is accurate.
Yes.
And at that time, did you take her old car?
Yes.
I have no idea what you can get for this car. And you know how you relied on him to be a good guy and to do what he was supposed to do?
Yes.
I'm awarding you $3,752. That's for you to pay off the bank. Then I don't think you can find a buyer for this car. You may have to scrap it, right?
Yes.
It's possible that there's no point in fixing it. You're not going to invest thousands of dollars in fixing it when it probably is at best worth $5,000. And if it's going to cost you $3,000 to try to get it up and running, it doesn't pay. It doesn't pay. So I'm going to rely on you to do the right thing. It sounds as if you do that while I'm awarding you $3,752, whatever money you get for the car goes to him. Do you understand? If you scrap it for $70, he gets it. I don't see that it's worth much more. I certainly wouldn't invest in a car that's been sitting dead for a year with a blown engine. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,752. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
I think it was pretty fair.
I think it was very fair.
My agreement, though, I paid for the car until I get my car fixed.
I've tried multiple times to reach out to him, and I couldn't get a hold of him, so it's really sad that it had to come to this.
She had to do what she had to do. That's all I can say.
I've learned that you can't help anyone, not even family.
Time to move on. Go on about my business, yes.
I'm a nice person, so I guess you just sometimes can't be nice to everyone.
You know what's so disappointing? She seems like a very lovely young lady. Her father seems like a nice man. He had actually helped to purchase the first car, and I think co-signed a loan for her or bought her the car in 2018 that she then turned over to him. But he's been her stepfather for a long time. How could you be so irresponsible?
And you know she's a single parent of 4 children who relies a lot on her credit.
And her credit on her car.
And
she's maintained her credit.
Yes, except for the fact that her stepfather sort of ruined it for her a little.
He really didn't have a defense.
No.
I don't think he had a defense. I don't think that you borrow somebody's car and